Camargo 542, Jeffersonville 558. This is working your way over the next several minutes. Let's go ahead and zoom in and do a closer look. I want to do some street names because we definitely have some rotation. You can see it very well defined right here just to the west of Levy, I believe this is. So I want to go ahead and zoom in as far as we can, give you some road names. If you're in Montgomery County, right along Levy Road, working towards Fox Road, and it looks like let me see, Camargo Levy Road and back towards Welch Road and then Sawmill Road. This is all working in your direction if you're in this area of Montgomery County over the next several minutes. Let me try to put a tracker on this again, and I want to call out some of these communities that are right in this. Levy 516, Camargo 559. Pardon me if I'm not saying it exactly correct, but if you live in this area, definitely want to get to your safe spot. This is where the rotation is right now. You can see it defined very well, working off towards the east here. So if you're along Fox Road, Camargo Levy Road, Sawmill Road, you need to be on the lookout over the next several minutes. Same story back towards Welch Road, Main Street into the downtown Jeffersonville area. You need to be on the lookout, and that looks like Bedford Road is this one right here, or right up here. So you definitely need to be getting to your safe spot in the next several minutes as this is working its way towards you here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom things out just a little bit more, working towards Jeffersonville, but you can see the rotation right now. It looks like it's crossed over Levy now. This couplet here's right in here is where the rotation is. It's crossed over the Levy area now and working towards, we just got that latest scan there with the radar, working towards or it looks like it's right along Fox Road here, working towards Camargo Levy Road, back towards Welch Road, and even Main Street that heads into downtown Jeffersonville. So we're going to continue to watch this. It's not as tight of a couplet as it was in the earlier scan, but definitely still some rotation there as this is beginning to work its way off to the east. So again, this tornado warning continues now for Jefferson County, and you can, for Jeffersonville, which is in Montgomery County, and you can see the couplet there moving off to the east over the next several minutes. The rest of the county is still under that severe thunderstorm warning as well. So definitely want to be on the lookout there as that is working your way. And not only do we have that rotation right now, Justin, we have those stronger winds with this entire line of strong storms as this continues across the area as well.
Yeah, and we're going to see that chance for outside of that tornado warning box. We have a chance for 70+ mile-an-hour wind gusts. The storm is not gaining any speed, but it's definitely maintaining its strength. All the way back now into Richmond. Folks in Richmond are going to get a nice hit here from this severe thunderstorm warning that is still in play for us until 5:15, so 4 more minutes on this. But the severe part of that storm is likely entering Richmond right now. We're going to get right back to that tornado warning in just a second, but we can see on our velocity here that it is not as great of a wind threat, it seems, with this storm that is entering near the Richmond area at this time. But we are going to continue to see a nasty little bite from this as it continues to move through. This is just regular velocity, so it is shooting into the storm, trying to read the whole thing as it comes in. Still some pretty gusty winds there along 75 just south of Richmond at this time. Again, that warning is until 5:15, and that includes portions of Garrett County, which is starting to clear out from this storm, but it also includes Jessamine and portions of Madison County here this evening. I'm going to get back to the radar here so we can see what's going on. Again, probably some very heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, maybe even some hail and some gusty winds. Richmond, you should be in your safe place now as this severe thunderstorm works in towards you. In northern Madison County, we're still dealing with some heavy rainfall, it seems, and some strong wind gusts likely in there as we continue to work towards the north. Estill County, the northern parts of Estill County are in a severe thunderstorm warning until 5:45. So we've got 30 minutes on that, as well as Powell County dealing with that. They also have very northern parts of Powell County inside provide this tornado warning for us right now. So we're going to go jump right back into that because this is the most dangerous part of this storm. Actually, everything along this line right now, including the area that could be seeing some rotation there in the Jeffersonville area, is likely dealing with the chance for 70-plus-mile-an-hour winds and the possibility of, again, right now a radar indicated rotation, not a confirmed tornado at this time. But I do want to get closer to it so you can see it is moving to the east at 40 miles an hour right now, and it is capable. We can see it, as Peyton was saying, the latest scan just coming in now, the couplet falling apart a little bit here. We're not seeing as much reds and greens together. Remember, as we watch this from the Jackson radar scene, towards the radar is in this green coming this way, and the red is going away, which is this way, and that's where we get that rotation. That's why that tornado warning is in place, and it's moving just south of Camargo and Jeffersonville at this time. So why don't we get a nice close look at this so we can see. If you are anywhere from Sawmill Road all the way over to Welch Road, south of Main Street there, or 460 it says, in Jeffersonville, that is where we're seeing the rotation at this time. That is where we have the best opportunity to see the potential of some of tornadic activity. Again, in instances like this, when we have the entire line of storms moving towards us, what we're going to see is some rotation that could quickly spin down and quickly come back up, even in between some of our scans. So you need to definitely be in the safe place. Basement, lowest room, furthest between you and the outside as possible as this tornado warned cell continues to move into the area, Montgomery County, until 5:30 p.m. again with that tornado warning at this time. I'm going to bounce out so I can zoom in easier here and give you a whole look of this complex as it comes through, because look at this, even outside of where that couplet is, Peyton, check this out. We've got some very strong winds. We've got this one little spot where the red and green are meeting, but even in here, back off to the southwest of that area of rotation, some very strong winds coming through. In fact, we might even be able to put a note on here and just to see that's 50 mile an hour in the clouds. So down at the surface, we can see that translate in, and if there's rotation, that's only going to get sped up as it moves through. Peyton?
Yeah, that's right, Justin. And it's just, obviously, it's going to be a busy night for us across the area. We're tracking multiple warnings pretty much everywhere. The one of most concern right now is this tornado warning working into portions of Montgomery County, southern portions towards the Jeffersonville area. But as Justin was mentioning, even in the areas where we're not seeing rotation, we're still seeing some very strong winds and wind gusts, especially aloft up in the clouds. So if it's that high up in the clouds, we could definitely see it translate down on the ground as well to those readings that we're seeing. So definitely some strong winds with this. I want to zoom things out just a little bit and kind of give you a wide picture, because we have all these flashing polygons right now across central, now working into portions of eastern Kentucky, but you also have a lot of warnings back off to the west. Let me switch radar sites just so we can get a better view of that. Right along the Ohio River right now, you can see plenty of flashing boxes indicating more severe storms. And unfortunately, all of this has to pivot through our area eventually. And they have extended that severe thunderstorm watch to now include all of our eastern Kentucky counties as well. So it's no question that even if you're not seeing severe weather right now, that doesn't mean you can't see it later. We're getting lots of emails and lots of emails and tweets, Facebook messages about damage reports. I promise we're going to try to get them when we can, but we're staying with these warnings for right now, and then we're going to try to show them just to give you a picture of how things are shaping up across the area. I've seen multiple trees down, power lines down, pictures of trees down in neighborhoods and places like that. We're also getting multiple reports. I was just talking with someone in our newsroom about emergency crews responding to several different storm-related type things as far as trees and power lines down go. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on that front when we can with those pictures. But I kind of want to recap what we're seeing right now from Bath to Montgomery County, back here towards Frenchburg, Menifee County. Same story down into Powell County, and even northern portions there of Estill County, all under that severe thunderstorm warning for this line right here, or should I say cluster right here of storm activity. And then we have the tornado warning that continues right now in Montgomery County. That goes until 5:30. Now, as Justin was saying, the couplet with the rotation was slightly falling apart just a bit. So I want to go ahead and take a look and see if we can see what it looks like right now and see how things look. I mean, we still do have a couplet there. It's not a super strong signature, but we still have some rotation right just to the south and east of Jeffersonville. Let's see if we could zoom in on that just a touch more. Let me click out of here so it won't interfere, but we'll try to zoom in on that just a touch more. It looks like this, this rotation right around Lucky Stop, right just to the south and east of Main Street here in Jeffersonville, down towards Pine Hill Road. This is working off to the east once again. So we'll continue to watch this. It's not as impressive as it looked just moments ago. So they'll likely allow this thunderstorm warning to expire, or should I say tornado warning to expire, as long as that doesn't tighten back up in the next few radar scans. So we'll keep watching that. But that is some good news. But anytime you have situations like this, first off, I also want to point out the very strong winds regardless of the rotation that we're seeing just to the west of Jeffersonville right now in portions of southern Montgomery County. These values pretty high. We're likely seeing some very strong winds there. And again, this couplet tried to tighten back up just a touch now to the east of Jeffersonville here, but again, it's not very impressive. So we'll continue to watch that over the next few minutes. I do want to put a tracker on it, though, just if you are in this line over the next little bit. Well, no communities are showing up there when I put that on. So well, let's maybe try that one more time and kind of put a bigger map on here. So we have a few: Means 530, Cornwell 559, Rothwell 606. That's working in your direction. So this does look like it's a more rural area. So we're going to continue to watch that. Now moving off to the east of Jeffersonville here, and some of the roadways, if we zoom on in just a little bit, just to, it looks like New Cut Road, Clay Lick Road, again, just to the north here of Main Street in Jeffersonville on the east side of town. This is now working off to the east. That's where this rotation is. And then other areas that could be on the lookout, it looks like Hope Means Road there. So working off to the east for you. Again, that rotation is right here where the reds and greens kind of come together. That's where reds and greens are the winds going away and towards the radar. And so when they come together like that, that helps us kind of see areas that might be seeing some of that rotation. All right, let's zoom things on out once again just a little bit. Go back to the regular radar view just to kind of give you an update of what we're seeing for everybody else. Regardless, we're dealing with the threat for damaging winds and the threat for some hail. Likely seeing some hail in some of these areas shaded in purple here. So now working towards Jeffersonville, likely seeing some of that hail. We also have been talking about the threat of power outages, trees down, things like that. We're also tracking severe thunderstorm continues here in portions of Powell County. Same story once you head down into portions of northern Estill County. This continues as this nasty line and cluster of thunderstorms is working off to the east here. Richmond, you're no longer under severe thunderstorm warning, but dealing with some very heavy rainfall just back behind this. Very heavy rain continuing there. It's drying out a bit back here in town in Lexington as this pushes off to the east. But as we've been saying now, look at this. We're starting to see some of these clusters and cells of storms begin to pop up to the south. So we're going to have to watch these closely. And then plus we're still dealing with the warnings out across down towards the Ohio, back towards the Ohio River, I should say, and in portions of western Kentucky back towards Evansville. All of this still has to pivot through the area, and for that reason, we still have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect pretty much for the entire viewing area now. Yeah, it is the entire viewing area now under that severe thunderstorm watch here. And those eastern Kentucky counties, this now goes until midnight. So, and then it looks like 9 o'clock back towards, yeah, so still the central Kentucky counties, it goes until 9 p.m. It goes till midnight in eastern Kentucky, in our eastern Kentucky areas. So we'll continue to watch that over the next little bit as well. Want to go ahead and take a look outside really quick from a couple of our cameras, just kind of show you what we're seeing. Here in Lexington, you can see the storms off in the distance, now off to the east. So it's improving here in town, but it's not so much improving in those eastern areas that are now dealing with these strong storms as well. We're continuing to watch that tornado warning in portions of Montgomery County. And look at that, the purple and even that darker shading there just to the south of Jeffersonville, likely dealing with some hail with this in those areas right now as we continue to track this off to the east. Let's go ahead. I'll put the hail tracker on it. We can see, yeah, definitely has a history of some hail. We know that from storm reports we've been seeing from our viewers. Again, if you can send those to us and can do so safely, please do so. We'll try to show some of those on air to kind of paint the picture for some of the damage reports and things we're seeing. But hail, definitely a threat with this, along with the risk for those spin-up tornadoes. Again, we've been tracking with this tornado warning the rotation. I think they're going to let this likely expire in the next few minutes. It's supposed to expire at 5:30. And now the couplet right here has now worked off and is about to cross into Menifee County. So it looks like right now they're not extending it. Justin, are they saying anything in the chat about this?
I don't know if it's updated on our screen. They just extended this tornado warning right now. Due to the fact that there is, and I got to get you back to the radar here, so just bear with me 1 second as I try to find that. Moving to the east at 40 miles an hour because of that rotation that could be dropping and going up very quickly at one time. They have extended that severe thunderstorm or that tornado warning for us right now in portions of the viewing area. So let me get onto the radar here. Let me get over to the velocity of this thing and let's get a closer look. So it's now extended further into portions of Menifee County as well as very southern Bath County now until 5:45. So another 20 minutes or so as the storm continues to move in. And this is the location right here, just to the northeast of Jeffersonville, north of Lucky Stop, north of Means, where we have a little bit of rotation taking place. And that's the reason that this warning has also been extended. So we'll continue to see that be the issue. I'm going to draw it up for you somewhere in this area. We're seeing that rotation. We've got very, very strong returns here as well. We could be seeing 70, 80 mile an hour winds in that zone. Actually, I can even try to 70 miles an hour just in these little darker blue things just north of Lucky Stop along 460 just to the northwest of Means. We've got 70 mile an hour winds in that rotation. So even if it's not a funnel, even if it's not tornadic, even if it's not rotating, we've got some very aggressive wind moving in. That's just south of Hope, just north of Means, right now about to try to cross into that Menifee County line. It's on the very edge of Montgomery line, north of 460, where we're likely seeing the strongest winds come in currently, and that's where we're going to continue to see down the line. So it's moving to the east at roughly 40 miles an hour. So I should be able to get a tracker on here to get us at least out a little ways. It's not letting me click these things off, so we'll try to reset here if we can. There we go. And get you a better tracker on this. Even south of that part too, by the way, north of Stanton, we're seeing some very strong wind returns too. So again, it might not be a tight rotation. It might not be a tornado on the ground. It's just radar indicated at this time. But we have very strong winds, even if it is straight line for us here, that could lead to some damage. You need to be in your safe place if you are inside of these warnings. That includes all of Powell County right now till 5:45, all of Menifee, even outside of the tornado warning, northern parts of Estill County and Bath County is inside of this too. Montgomery, you are in the thick of it right now as it continues to move into the very far eastern parts of Montgomery County. Mount Sterling, you are free from the worst part of it, but you need to stay in your safe place here until 5:45, and so we don't have any winds on the backside of this cause any issues. Just to recap quickly, though, anywhere off from Winchester to Lexington, Jessamine County, Bourbon County, even up towards Georgetown, this first cell is past you now, so you're okay to be free here for us as we continue into this evening. But we got to keep an eye, a close eye on this storm because this is where the worst of the storm system is at this moment, and we're going to continue to see that tornado warning for Menifee County as well as Bath County and very northeastern parts of Montgomery County until 5:45 p.m. Moving to the east once more at about 40 miles an hour. I'm going to put a tracker on this whole line because the whole line is, oh, that's backwards. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have Peyton do it because it's hard to do it on this tablet. Peyton, why don't you go ahead, throw a tracker on that whole line for us so we can see because the whole thing is producing potentially 70 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, that's right, Justin. I'll go ahead and time it out. And again, kind of like what Justin was talking about, we have the rotation here right now, but also the thing we're also talking about is really each radar scan, sometimes it kind of goes away and comes back. And really in these scenarios, you can never, at any point, there could be a very quick spin up tornado take place. There's definitely a couplet right here, right now, though, that we're definitely watching with that rotation. Let's go ahead and put a tracker on this. And I'm going to do, like Justin said, a significant amount of the line, not just the tornado areas. So if you're towards Rothwell, coming your way around 542, it looks like it's 527 right now. Frenchburg, 605. Clear Creek Furnace, 621. Ratliff, 621. And Mariba, 625. So pardon me if I'm pronouncing some of the communities wrong, but want to try to get those out there just so you can see. So next several minutes, this is working your all's way. It's around 5:30 right now, 5:28 to be exact. So still a little bit of time to get into your safe spot. The Weather Service went ahead and extended this out much further than the first warning went. So that is some good news. And looks like the couplet on the latest radar scan is not as tight as it was. So we've kind of been seeing that take place with this particular tornado warning. Every scan, sometimes we'll see some rotation there and then it kind of fades away. It's kind of going back and forth. So that's why we say you need to treat it seriously and get to your safe spot, because at any point you could have a brief tornado spin up very quickly inside of this warning area. Let's zoom things out, kind of give you a wider view of exactly what we're seeing. I'm going to go ahead and switch over now back just to regular radar, and it's lighting up. Plenty of colors on the map for sure. Very heavy rainfall, likely some hail with this. We've been getting reports of up to around quarter-size hail so far. Multiple reports of trees down, and also multiple reports of power outages with this as well. And I've said multiple times too, we have several severe thunderstorm warnings back towards the Ohio River as well, and all of that still has to pivot through our area as well. So definitely going to be watching that closely, especially for our southern communities who haven't seen any storms or rain just yet. We'll definitely be watching that very closely as the evening goes on. So excuse me, everybody has the risk for severe weather this evening. Definitely looks like some hail here just to the east of Jeffersonville, now working its way inside this tornado warning into portions of Menifee County. Be on the lookout, because again, at any point we could begin to see quick spin up tornadoes within this. There's also a lot of lightning on the map. If we light things up here, you can see the lightning tracker. It's probably pretty noisy in some of these areas with all the thunder and lightning. So a lot of threats with this. Make sure you're taking it seriously going inside. And we're going to stay with you throughout the evening as these storms continue to work across central and now into portions of eastern Kentucky. I also want to go ahead and point out, because this is a busy 4th of July weekend, notice Cave Run Lake is right here. This is right on your doorstep. Probably a lot of boaters out this weekend enjoying the lakes and parks and camping and things like that. This is a fairly popular lake in our area, Cave Run, in southern portions of Rowan County. This tornado-warned storm and this severe thunderstorm with some very heavy rain, gusty winds, and some hail threat is working towards that area in the next little bit. So I did want to go ahead and shout that out, just because there's a lot of these areas. Again, it's a holiday weekend where people are probably out and about, out on the lake maybe doing things, out in a state park, maybe out for a hike. You need to go ahead and get to your safe spot, especially if you're outside in those conditions, because it's going to take some time for you to get there. Let's go ahead and put the velocity back on so we can see. Again, any rotation in this is going to be right in this area. It's not looking as impressive as it was earlier, but again, each radar scan, we kind of get updates and it kind of goes back and forth. Here's the latest one just came in. Regardless though of if there's rotation, there's likely some very strong straight line winds within this and wind gusts. You can see that right here. I don't know if the dropper will give me an exact, but near 60-mile-per-hour winds there, and that's radar indicated, and that's up in the clouds. So we'll continue to watch that, but damaging winds are definitely a possibility coming up in the next little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put it back over to radar here and do a tracker for a larger portion of this line, just including areas that are not in the tornado warning, just to kind of give an update over the next little bit. All right. If you're in Frenchburg, 537, Clear Creek Furnace, 547, Ratliff, 550, Midland, 553, Denniston, 559, Scranton, 603, and Wellington, 606. This cluster of storms is working its way in your direction. So another thing I kind of want to mention, again, I mentioned the lake, the Cave Run area, likely not getting to you until, excuse me, probably, I would say in the next 30 minutes or so. So you still have some time before this line of storm starts to get towards your way. So it is 5:30 right now. You probably have at least 30 to 45 minutes before it gets to the lake. But I just want to give you a heads up. It is working in that direction. So if you know anybody out in that area, might want to send them a text or a call. Let them know some very strong storms are working in their direction. So obviously, a lot of people out this weekend, cookouts and different things like that going on for the 4th of July holiday. And unfortunately, we have severe weather that is probably dampening a lot of those plans this evening. Justin, do you have any new information with this? I know you're looking at our rotation detector right now.
Yeah, right now I wanted to show you guys just the loop of this so you can see. This is our product that we use for rotation to see what the spinning that could be taking place. We can see it on velocity when we have couplets in there, but even outside of that, watch as this thing has progressed. You can see that even when we don't have a tight couplet on velocity, we have rotation being detected, and at sometimes it is strong rotation in there when you see this little color get to the red. The latest scan has mostly these lighter greens, meaning it's very weak rotation, but with that we can see some wind gusts upwards of 70 plus miles an hour come your way, even if the rotation is not leading to any kind of funnel cloud and or tornado coming down. So just note, this is just radar indicated at this time, and it's going to continue for mainly in Menifee County, north of Frenchburg at this hour until 5:45 p.m. So another 10 minutes or so as this line comes through. Let me flip back over here so we can see just the velocity as a whole. It's not just that piece of the storm. Look at down here, and we'll go through these warnings again. For Estill County, 5:45 p.m. Powell County at the same time as well. Menifee is still inside there, and Bath County is still inside there as well as this line comes through. But there's a lot more than just that area where we had that rotation. Look at these readings coming in on here from Frenchburg all the way down towards the Mountain Parkway that is just to the east of Stanton. We've got blues coming in here, and most of those readings are going to come at us at a pretty good clip. I'm going to see if I can't. 63 miles an hour in some of the darkest blues that we've got there. That's the radar velocity trying to pick up what we could be seeing at the surface. That's damaging wind regardless of how you shake it out. We could see that over here too. Look at south of Stanton, 64 miles an hour. Again, going away from the radar system. So that's how we know that the winds with this are strong, even if we don't have the rotation to provide us with a tornado at this time. But we do have a pretty nasty look on radar. And here's the other thing you can kind of tell too, taking a nice close look at it. Right here, where we've got that jetting taking place in the front end of this, there's likely winds cruising right in through there. That's where we get some rotation to come in, right there on that spot. And we can see that go in while everything else is trying to go this way. That's how we build up a little rotation, and it's back and forth and back and forth, and that's why we've got that tornado warning sticking in place. So we're going to have to continue to watch this. They just extended the entire line out further, so we do have new warnings to run down the line. 70-mile-an-hour winds. We can't leave you while we've got tornado warnings and 70-mile-an-hour wind tags on these severe thunderstorm warnings. So right now the damage threat is considerable. Tornado possible. Everything radar indicated at this time. So we're going to stick with this here. We've got it for Bath, Breathitt, Elliott, Estill, Fleming, Johnson, Lee, McGoffin, Menifee, Morgan, Powell, Rowan, and Wolfe counties until 6:15 p.m. now. And that's with 70-mile-an-hour winds possible and the potential for some rotation that may lead to some periods where we'll see 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, quarter-sized tail, and is moving to the east at 45 miles an hour. So this storm has just been trudging along, continuing to bring us some very dangerous winds here, and I hate when I see these notches come in. That's where we have that potential, and that's why we have that tornado warning in place. So once again, now if you are in Moorhead, if you are in West Liberty, Campton, even some other rural areas in between Frenchburg and Stanton, all the way down to Irvine, you need to be in your safe place. Northern parts of Lee County right now does not include Beattyville, but it is north of that. You need to be in your safe place. We keep rolling all the way up to Wolfe County, as well as Menifee has been in there. But they've got this out a couple county lines down already. So not anticipating this slowing down by any means for us either. I do, because that little notch looks pretty gnarly in there. I want to get to this rotation piece once more as Peyton steps out to check with the newsroom if there's been any damage reports. And I know he's getting some other pictures lined up for us too, so we're going to take a look on that in just a moment. But that weak rotation is back. Look at this right near Ratliff right now for that tornado warning. North of Frenchburg, south of Sudeth, and I apologize if I'm saying these wrong. Sudeth, Sudeth, Ratliff, both of those right in between there is where we have this broad rotation, weak rotation, but still enough that the tornado warning is in place. And it goes all the way to Scranton. So Scranton, you need to be down in your safe place as well. Clear Creek, Furnace, you need to be in your safe place as well too, because we're going to continue to see this strong storm work towards us. Now for the whole line, we are going to be having this storm move 45 miles an hour to the east. But what I'm going to do is we're going to throw a tracker on this in a little bit. And I'm going to actually step off if I can. If we could take this full so I could walk over to the computer, please, control room, so I can get a tracker on this. It's very difficult to do on this tablet. But the winds for all of this are possibly up to 70 miles an hour at this time. And that severe thunderstorm warning has been extended well out to the east. So let me go ahead and throw up a tracker on this real quick and draw it down the line. This is where the strongest of the storm is, 45 miles an hour. We have it in Campton by 5:51. That's about 20-ish minutes. Actually, that's about, bad math, that's about 12 minutes from now. West Liberty at 6. Sandy Hook 6:16. Saylorsville 6:24. And Salersville, sorry, excuse me. And Blaine 6:35 here this evening. So we're going to continue to have this entire line bring the chance for 70+ mile an hour wind gusts, and it is sustained pretty good. I'm going to send it back over to Peyton now because he's going to have some storm damage for you guys to look at. Peyton, where do we have this snapped tree from?
Yeah, that's right, Justin. This is from Jamel Crawford out in Versailles. So obviously these storms have been out of that area for the next little bit, but this is kind of the pictures where we've been seeing multiple trees and tree limbs down. We've seen some uprooted in some areas. So we're continuing to watch that. You can see the picture here. This is again out in Versailles, and I believe it looks like off the Midway Road area. So trees down, power lines down, and that's the other story is the power outages. If we look right now, you can see where this line of storms, these line of storms have been. Lexington now, Fayette County, 26,000 customers without power in Fayette County. 400 customers in Clark, 100 back towards Madison, 400 Jessamine, 4,000 customers out in Woodford, and I believe it is 3,500 or 3,500, sorry, out there in Anderson County, people without power right now in those areas. I am going to switch this back over for us to the radar so we can kind of get an update on things as far as how things are looking right now. Let me go ahead and click our warnings back on here so you can see we still have a lot of areas. This is a strong line of storms that is working its way excuse me, across eastern Kentucky now, and we still have that tornado warning as well in portions of Menifee and Bath County, and that goes until 5:45. I'm going to go ahead and check our let's see, check the Weather Service chat, see if we have any updates as far as this goes. The tornado warning is continuing. Hail of around 3/4 of an inch or so. And again, we're continuing to watch this thunderstorm and this storm with the tornado warning as it continues to work through parts of Menifee County right now. Let's go ahead and turn on the velocity here. Show you what we're tracking. Not a very well-defined couplet. The area that we are watching with this is right in here where those reds and greens come together. But again, as we've been saying, at any point, these can spin up very quickly. I also want to bring your attention just to the south of Frenchburg, right in here. Likely some very strong winds in this area, upwards of 50 miles per hour. And again, this is all radar indicated. So likely some very strong damaging winds possible in this area right now as well. Regardless of if there is spin up tornadoes taking place or not, you still have very strong and very powerful wind gusts taking place as well. So let's switch things back over to radar. Kind of give you a wider view of exactly what we are seeing here. So that tornado warning continues. We're continuing to watch the threat for some spin-ups within this area. But really, we have strong straight line winds on this entire line as it's working off to the west. Areas from places like Sandy Hook out in Elliott County, Rowan County. Again, I mentioned Cave Run Lake area. This is almost on top of you now. Same story back towards West Liberty in Morgan County and down towards Campton here in Wolfe County. And it looks like they just extended the tornado warning once again. This now includes portions of Morgan and back towards Menifee County and southern portions of Rowan County. So that tornado warning has been extended once again for portions of southern Rowan County. It continues in Menifee County and now northern portions of Morgan County. This tornado is right over you. I have family in Morgan County in the West Liberty area. So if you are down in these areas, you definitely need to get to your safe spot as soon as you can, as this is working towards you. Now, again, it's likely just brief spin up tornadoes if we're seeing that with this. However, there's damaging winds with this regardless. We've seen the history. We've seen trees and power lines down behind it. And unfortunately, it's only continuing as it works off to the east. Let's go ahead and put a tracker on some specific communities, especially here in this tornado warning over the next several minutes. If you are in Zilpo, 554, Dan, 559, Bangor, 605, Zag, 619. This is working off to the east. Again, this is just to the north of West Liberty, includes portions of Morgan County, southern Rowan County, and back into Menifee. This continues. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the velocity here so we can see. And again, it's not very well defined. However, it's enough that along this line we could see spin up tornadoes taking place at any time with any radar scan. So the areas that have that rotation is again right in here where those reds and greens come together. And the Weather Service has decided to go ahead and continue this as it heads off to the west. So you're likely hearing the sirens in some of these communities this evening. Go ahead and get to your safe spot. We do have this tornado warning continuing, but again, I want to point out that regardless of the tornado warning, this severe thunderstorm is very strong at this time. And if you look off to the south here, you can actually see, I'm going to click on this one more time. If you look off to the south here, these are some very strong winds inside this thunderstorm that are working off to the east. So regardless of if you are in the tornado warning or not, all of these areas that are in this severe thunderstorm warning need to go ahead and get to a safe spot, get inside, because this is a very dangerous thunderstorm working towards you right now. Let's go ahead and switch things back over to the radar view. It's just nasty out there, folks, this evening. As expected, severe weather continues. It's pushing off to the east. They have extended this polygon out, this severe thunderstorm warning out, very far. It now includes portions of Magoffin County, and it's likely going to take at least an hour for this to get there. But that's how confident the Weather Service is that this storm is going to remain strong as it works off to the east over the next little bit here. Let's zoom things out. We're now starting to see some storms fire back off to the west as well. They're not severe right now, but working towards Berea, down towards Mount Vernon. Same story back in Boyle County. There are some stronger storms. They're not severe at this point, but this line right here is definitely severe. That is working off to the east, and it now includes a large area. Now also working its way right on the line of our viewing area there, working in the next little bit. So it's still got a little bit, and it's still got a lot of real estate to cover before it gets to some of these areas. But in the next hour or so, we're going to see that continue to work off to the east. Again, very strong thunderstorm, a large amount of people impacted by this as it continues. And of course, we have that tornado warning that has now been extended once again in this area as well. So we're going to continue to watch that. Likely some hail with this. Let's see. Let me go ahead and throw up the hail tracker. We'll see what we're seeing. And yeah, pretty much this core where the tornado warning is also has a history of producing lots of hail all the way back through Jeffersonville, really all the way back towards Lexington. We have had reports of quarter-size hail. This is going to continue in this area, now working into northern portions here of Morgan County, continuing in Menifee County, and southern portions of Rowan County near the lake, the Cave Run Lake area. Also southern portions of Bath County there as well. So Justin, it's going to be an active evening across the area, unfortunately, and now eastern Kentucky is in the path of, or a large portion of eastern Kentucky rather, is in the path of these strong and dangerous thunderstorms as they work across the area this evening.
Yeah, Peyton, and I want to throw up another product that we have to be able to try to see what is coming our way, trying to find if there is some rotation or even if there is anything damage-wise that is maybe launched into the atmosphere. This is our debris detector. We call on it to show us different particles that are in the storm, different particles that are in the atmosphere that the radar beam can see. And we're likely seeing in this instance, if we look at our debris detector line off here to the north, on the top of the screen, these purple colors and red colors, that's mainly just the rain. And we're going to continue to see it go down the line. Yellows, greens, and starting getting into blue, which we can see in here where the tornado warning is, where we've had rotation, is where we're seeing some of those. That's likely detecting more hail or other slightly larger objects in the cloud or in the sky. And once we start to get some of these darker blue colors, it's like in their own little ball on here, that's when we know that there's something more serious going on. But for the most part right now, we're not seeing anything substantial with the debris detector, although there is some different particles, not rain, possibly hail, maybe even something else that is showing up in our debris detector right now. So that's something that we got to keep a close eye on here as we continue to monitor this whole thing. It's really only good if we do have a lot of the difference in particles in that spot to be able to see what's happening there, but it doesn't give us a confirmation by any means. So that's why we look at things like the velocity. And this is not storm relative. Again, shooting from Jackson, if I turn the storm relative on, I'm not seeing rotation in this storm at this time, but it's had a history of going back and forth. Let me put it into motion for you so you can see it come along. Watch early on. Reds and greens coming through Jeffersonville north of Frenchburg, and it's kind of gone back and forth with that. We're now broadening it back out, so we'll likely see this system hold on to a little bit of that minor brief rotation here and or there before it then settles back down and becomes a straight line problem. And that's what we have across the rest of this line. I'm going to see if I can. It's going to be tricky, but I'll do it. I see if I can't get a little cross-section view of this storm as it continues to come through. So we splice it that way, and then we should be able to see. Go ahead and take this full screen for me, if you would, please, so I can go use the mouse. It's really hard to do this on the tablet, but I just need to get to a level that we can see how tall this storm is, because it's been sustaining itself for some time here now because of how tall it is. It's likely starting near the surface, but check this out. As we try to look at a cross-section of it up in the atmosphere, this storm is getting to 30, 40,000 feet all across the area. And when you have these bright pinks, you can see it right here. Oh, I pushed the button wrong. Let me get this back up here for you.
Looks like they also just canceled the tornado warning.
Tornado
warning has been canceled.
Well, that's great news for us here. That means that that rotation, they believe, is likely lessened up enough where we don't need to worry about it respawning. Of course, we're going to have to watch to see if it does. But for the most part, then, this is just going to be a very strong thunderstorm moving to the east at 40 miles an hour again for you, producing upwards of 70-mile-an-hour winds. So we're going to go that tornado warning's been canceled then. Thank you, Peyton, for that update. That means that parts of Menifee and Bath County are no longer in a tornado warning, but still in a severe thunderstorm warning, and that is going to go for us here until 6:15. Menifee County is right in the heart of it. Campton, you're about to get it right on your doorstep in Wolfe County at this time. Till 6:15, also for Rowan County. Goes all the way out to Morgan and Elliott County, as well as western parts of Magoffin County. So we're going to have to continue to watch this, because 70-mile-an-hour winds are still very dangerous for us, and we're likely seeing them along a line from Campton all the way up here towards Frenchburg still, even off to the east of Frenchburg, where the strongest winds are. Now on the front edge is where we're going to likely see the first punch from this, and then it continues to jet off to the east and bring us some more of those chances for some damaging winds. I want to go ahead and take a look at some of the reports, because this storm has had a history of producing damage, wind damage in some areas as well. Let's go ahead and look at a couple of these. Thunderstorm, multiple trees down on northeast at Ford, in Ford, Kentucky. That is south of Winchester in Clark County. North of Winchester, we've got trees down over multiple roads. So this storm has been producing some very strong winds. Even back here, as we go back towards places like Lexington, we've got uprooted trees about an hour and a half ago from this storm, which has been maintaining its speed the entire time. Trees down in yardways across northern Lexington, even further back. Versailles, there's trees that are down, multiple trees all around the Versailles area that are down. A power pole down there as well. So we're continuing to see this thing become mainly a straight line wind event, moving to the east at 45 miles an hour, but giving us wind gusts of 60 to possibly 70 miles an hour. We've had reports of those wind gusts observed in the Bluegrass Airport of about 60 miles an hour, and that's severe criteria that we need. So we'll have to continue to watch for that as well. It's going to be a very busy day, like Peyton said. And we're not even done there. I want to go ahead and even zoom out, and we're going to go through these warnings one more time. But we've got storms down and south of Richmond along 75. We've got more even further in behind that. And what we're anticipating is this entire line is going to eventually come together. It's messy here, but if all of this forms together and starts to sweep across, we're going to be having more issues like this as we go through the rest of this evening. So this is likely one of what is to come of many, or at least a few more down the line as we get the rest of this area. All of this is untapped right now. It's been warm, it's been moist, and it's going to continue to lead to enough fuel for these storms to come through. As a cold front continues to drop in out of the northwest, it's going to spawn storms, and things are going to fire up from the southwest to continue to move through the area. Watch as I put this into rotation here. You can see storms all drifting straight from the west, coming at us and coming at us at a good pace. So we'll continue to deal with that here. I think Peyton has an update on the timing of this, because it is moving to the east at 45 miles an hour, and it is moving with winds that are 70 miles an hour plus. Peyton, where is it going to be next?
Yeah, it's moving fairly quickly, around 45 miles per hour. But again, they've extended the warning box out so far. A lot of these areas still have a lot of time to get indoors, get to your safe spot if needed. Right now, it's over the Bonnie area, 26, the Moorhead area right now, at least the front line is now pushing into the Moorhead area right now, headed towards Baptist. Okay, Baptist right now, we just got an update. Grassy Creek around 555, Craney around 555, Rodburn, same story, back towards Blaze around 556, and Yoakum around 556 as well. So it's moving around, again, around 45 miles per hour, like Justin just said, and they've extended the warning box fairly far out, which is kind of gives people enough time to go ahead and get into place, which is some good news. I also want to step off and just give you an update on the power outages, because they're pretty incredible. And actually, did we just have the power flash here? Because it looks like one of our computers just went off. So definitely power outages are definitely a concern this evening, and we're continuing to see those only increase as the night goes on. So let me go ahead and put a tracker on. 28,000 customers here in Fayette County without power. You have around 400 in Jessamine, 4,000 in Woodford County. 3,000 customers without power out in Anderson County, 800 in Clark County, 1,500 customers without power now in Montgomery County, and then it looks like in Powell County around 100 customers without power. So you can definitely see where these storms have been going. This line of storms is pretty much working across this area. The power outage map really gives us a good picture of that. And I expect that these power outages to continue eastward as they're on this track here. So wouldn't be surprised if we start to add those in Bath County, back towards Rowan, and eventually in to areas in Morgan County as well, as this continues to work off to the east. This is a pretty high number here in Fayette County. I think they're probably one of the areas with the most right now. Yeah, Fayette County looks like they have the most power outages in the state at this point. So Fayette County with the most outages in the state right now, 28,000 customers there without power. I'm going to switch things back over to the radar for us, so we can kind of go over things really quickly one more time here. Let me go ahead and switch it out of our Jackson area and turn on our warning, so you can see plenty of lightning with this for sure. You're probably getting a light show, and you're hearing the thunder roar, especially as this is working into Morgan County right now as well. We'll go ahead and put an updated tracker on this front line and kind of give you an estimated times of when this is coming your way. If you're in Cranny, it's in your area right now. Rexville, 557. Woods Bend, 557. Grassy Creek, 558. Lower Gilmore, 559. Christie, 559. And Sellers right at the top of the hour in the next few minutes at 6 o'clock. So a lot of these areas and portions of Morgan County, Very strong winds with this, likely some hail. We've seen that history of that throughout the evening, and this is continuing to work off to the east over the next little bit. So people who may get us out in places like Lawrence County, even let's see, Johnson County, and back towards Floyd County as well. This is working your way in the next hour or so, so be on the lookout for that. But right now, the communities we're watching in the area here is Morgan County, back up here towards Elliott County, western portions of Magoffin. Same story once we head back towards Campton here into Wolf County. Northern portions of Breathitt need to be on the lookout. We're still dealing with some nasty storms back into portions of northern Lee County right now, or it's starting to work its way towards you. And really right on the Estill-Lee County line. This is a nasty storm right there that we're watching, and this is all working off to the east. Same story back up towards Moorhead, likely hearing the thunder, seeing the lightning, heavy rainfall working in towards the area there. I mentioned the lake area and southern portions around county where Cave Run is. Heaviest rain probably right over you right now at this time as well. So let's go ahead, zoom things out, give you a wider look here, and we're still dealing with lots of flashy boxes back up towards the Cincinnati metro area, back towards Louisville, and eventually back towards Evansville and back into southern portions of Illinois. Still dealing with a lot of warnings, and as Justin and I have been saying throughout the afternoon and evening here now, we still have all of these that have to pivot through the area. We're starting to see some more begin to pop up in some of our southern communities. While they're not severe, still dealing with some downpours, likely some breezy or gusty conditions just to the south of Richmond and in those areas as well. Back towards Mount Vernon, looks like just to the east now of I-75 in some of these areas, working towards Sand Gap, back towards McKee. Same story, and pretty nasty gusty storm probably back towards Danville and portions of Boyle County. Right now, the warnings though are farther to the north and east here from West Liberty back towards Campton and northern portions of Lee County just to the north there, and Wolf County as well, just to the north there of Beattyville. So let me go ahead and switch these radar sites back over to Jackson so we can get a cleaner look at this storm. Moorhead now dealing with very strong strong winds and very heavy rain as well. West Liberty, this is right on your doorstep, some of these stronger winds. I'm going to go ahead and throw up the velocity, just take a look at some of the winds really quickly, and kind of give you an update at what we're seeing. Again, you can see these strong winds right in here. That's the strongest we're seeing right now, and that's continuing to work off to the east. So some gusty winds working your way towards West Liberty in the next little bit. Go ahead, get inside, ride this out. Likely some trees going to come down, some power lines, things like that. It's probably going to look fairly nasty in the next little bit in those areas as this severe thunderstorm warning continues. Justin?
Yeah, and this is really the one we got to watch because the rest of the area is relatively quiet. We do have those storms that Peyton was knocking on there just a moment ago. Again, this is for the next 15 minutes in those counties that he was showing. We're going to continue to see this move to the east at roughly 45 miles an hour. Not a lot of changes with this. There's no tornado warnings at this time either. So we'll continue to have to watch for those gusty winds to come through. And we're going to just try to get a velocity reading on this one more time here while we've got the opportunities of it. And that's what the big problem has been. So we've got some of these areas now showing maybe some signs of it slightly weakening. I don't want to say that it's going to be free for you, though, as it continues to move in. But you notice how on the reds here, we don't have a lot of the dark purples, which is a good sign. That's usually where we have really strong updrafts and really strong cores with this as well. So some of it's starting to sort of weaken, but we still have this bowing structure, at least in the front edge of the storm, where those winds are going to be greatest. And that's what we're going to want to continue to monitor as we go through this evening. And again, I'm not seeing warnings across any other portions of the viewing area at this time, but there's a lot of activity and a lot of untapped air to get to here. A lot of heat and a lot of moisture still to come. So we're likely going to have to cut in again later if we get more. But for now, I think I'm going to send it back over to Peyton. Peyton, do you have anything new for us?
Yeah, so just checking the chat again, we've kind of been talking about this. We've had a lot of reports of trees down, power lines down, that sort of thing. Damaging winds and this severe thunder thunderstorm warning continues. I'm going to go ahead and recap things really quickly. And now it's the top of the hour, so we're going to send things back to programming now that all the tornado warnings have expired. I will tell you this, we will continue to update you as the night goes on, and we'll cut in when new warnings are issued. But right now, this severe thunderstorm warning continues for portions of Rowan, back towards Elliott, Morgan County, northeast or western portions of Magoffin County. Same story down towards Breathitt and Lee County. This goes until 6:15 this evening. So we're going to continue to watch this as this line of storms continues to push off to the east. It's right on the doorstep of exiting our viewing area. So these areas in eastern Kentucky, be on the lookout. I do want to go ahead and zoom things out as well because, again, we're still tracking more storms popping up to the south and west that do have the chance to become severe, especially these ones that move around southern portions of our viewing area because they haven't had any rainfall really over the last little bit. So their atmosphere is untapped. So we'll continue to watch that over the next little bit. Right now, though, again, the only warning for our viewing area at this time is this one right here, working through portions of Rowan, Morgan, into Elliott, Lee, Wolf, and into western portions there of Magoffin County. All right, thanks for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and send things back to regular scheduled programming. I'm Peyton Hinkle alongside with meteorologist Justin Esterly. We'll continue to cut in throughout the night as severe storms do continue to develop. We'll continue to keep you updated as the night goes on. All right, we'll go ahead and send things back to regular scheduled programming.
Nice to us. Let's take another crack at this. There we go. 40 miles an hour to the southeast. That puts it in West Liberty by 6:17, Paintsville by 6:55, Prestonburg by 7 p.m. itself. And that's right up to the end of this warning. So they've got it out a substantial ways because this thing is likely to hold on pretty good for us over the course of the next 45 minutes or so. So that is all until 7 p.m. Moving towards places like West Liberty and Sandy Hook. Paintsville is in line of that too. And I apologize, Salyersville? Salyersville, you are also inside of this too. I promise I'll figure out how to say these names here as we get going through the rest of this evening. Last one I want to show you quickly is just outside of our viewing area, but is moving down 64 between Louisville and Frankfort. It's going to head towards Shelbyville shortly. That's for Jefferson and Shelby counties until 7 p.m. That's one that we're going to want to watch the progression of because it is right down the line of 64, and areas like Frankfort and Georgetown and Versailles that have already been hit, stamping ground from earlier this evening as well, are going to have a possibility to get another round of severe weather as the night rolls on. Lastly, before I send you back, we've got all this untapped air here in southern parts of the state that could still see some strong to severe storms this evening. And we do, again, have a severe thunderstorm watch for everybody through the rest of this evening. So we're going to continue to monitor these, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and send you back to regular scheduled programming.
Towards the metro area right now from Anderson County, Lawrenceburg, about to work into Woodford County here. You can see it's right on the county line pushing into this area. Lexington Metro. You have another severe thunderstorm warning as this is working towards you. Really quickly, I want to go, before we go back over to Justin, I want to go and take a look at our tower camera. Here is the dark skies as they are approaching. This is UK's campus. Here's the library right here. Here is UK Hospital off to the west of our station here in Chevy Chase, and you can see the dark clouds as the storms are beginning to work their way back into the metro once again. So as Justin was mentioning, there's a lot of trees down, power lines down. You may have some neighbors because we had some sunshine just not that long ago. And so you may have some neighbors that try to go out and clean things up. You definitely want to make sure you're getting back inside into a safe spot as now we have more storms beginning to work in to the metro area once again. Continuing to watch two severe thunderstorm warnings right now from Lexington back towards Lawrenceburg as this one is pushing in northern portions of Jessamine County, Brannon Crossing area right on the county line. Be on the lookout. And of course into Woodford County, Versailles. Be on the lookout as this is about to cross the line towards you as well. And There we go. Radar was giving me a little bit of trouble trying to move it around there. And this looks like a pretty nasty storm once again. Northern portions of Casey County about to cross into Lincoln County there as well. That warning goes until 7:45. Justin, are you seeing any updates right now in the Weather Service chat with any of these?
Just chatting with some of the people at the National Weather Service for us this evening. Right now, there's just some reports of some heavy rain, possibly 50 to 65 mile-an-hour winds out of those two storms that are moving here, the two warned storms that are moving again, including portions of the Lexington Metro inside that severe thunderstorm warning, and then another one down in northern Casey counties moving towards Lincoln County here this evening. The thing I don't like about these storms that are just off to the south a little bit there in parts of Casey County is that we are seeing a little bit of that hook. Now, there's two locations that I want to quickly focus on here. It's this area where we're seeing this little notch that we could be getting a little bit of rotation in there. Is it Houstonville? Is that how we do say that, Peyton? I believe I said Hustonville earlier, but either way, if it's Houstonville, that's right around your neck of the woods. You need to be in your safe place with that. The other spot, and I'm going to pull this up here on velocity so you can see some of the rotation. It's pretty weak there, but back off a little further in Casey County, there's some more rotation in parts of the storm that's just outside of this. Again, if this is going toward the radar here and away there, there might be a little rotation on that cell just along the edge of the warning box, kind of north and west of Liberty in northern parts and western parts of Casey County. So we've got a couple of areas there that we're going to want to keep a close eye on in the next couple of scans. If we go just straight velocity readings here, you can see that this storm is starting to gain some speed, moving right into Versailles right now. If you live in Versailles, if you're in Lawrenceburg, you need to be down already. But if you live in Versailles or even in portions of Woodford County there, that is in southern portions, we're seeing some stronger winds right on the front edge of this thing as it moves through. And it's starting to bow a little bit. That's some of the chat that we're going to wait for here as we continue to watch this complex move through. That means the winds are going to likely continue to move up, and they might even extend this. The chat is saying that they might bump that warning up a little bit in the wind speed category to see how it's going. Again, we're still discussing some of this rotation. I'm seeing some thoughts and chat about that in the book here about rotation in that storm that's in northern Casey County. So I'll continue to monitor that piece, and then I'll send it back over to Peyton, who's going to have a live look at that other storm that's moving into Woodford County right now.
Yeah, that's right. And I just want to pull this up. This is our rotation detector here. It kind of shows us the shear that we're seeing, which is one of the ingredients needed for tornadic activity. And you can see there is some very weak rotation and some shear here right along that warning box, right on the line there in northern portions of Casey County there. So we're going to continue to watch that. Again, it's very weak. And then that other little couplet we were watching by Houstonville, there's some very weak rotation there as well. But really focused in on this one right here. Would not be surprised if we maybe see a warning come out of this at some point over the next little bit, as it does look like yeah, that couplet is tightening up even more there. So I would not be surprised if we do not see a tornado warning at some point with this. Justin, I don't know if the chat's saying anything new right now, but we want to watch that. If you're right on this line right here, I would go ahead and get to your safe spot just as a precaution. Even though there's no tornado warning, there's definitely a little bit of rotation there. So I would go ahead and get to your safe spot. Let's see if we can zoom in a little closer on this and just show you some road names. And this is just to the north and east of Adderson, I believe, and just to the west of Beach Bottom. So if you're in this area, and I'll try to zoom in just a little more and see if we can get in on some of these road names here really quick. Here we go. From Sheepskin Road back towards Griffith Ridge Road, it looks like Neff Road, Sharp Road, and Caney Fork Road. If you are in this area, it looks like we do have a little bit of rotation. Same story, Dry Creek Road and up towards Martins Creek Road. I would go ahead and get to your safe spot just as a precaution with this, because we are seeing a little bit of rotation there with this system in portions of Casey County. No tornado warning with it, but again, just as a precaution, I'd go ahead and just get to your safe spot, because with these storms, it's very easy. We can see spin up tornadoes those happen very quickly. We're going to go away from this warning for just a second. I want to go back up to what's happening in the metro area, and Justin's pulled up our tower cam. Pretty cool view outside in Chevy Chase right now, Justin, as these storms are approaching the downtown Lexington metro once again.
Yeah, and again, there's already been a lot of reports of tree damage coming through the area, especially downtown. We've had a lot of instances, and now we have another storm coming through. So we got to reach out to folks that we know are outside. This is downtown. This is looking towards the west as this storm continues to roll in. Looks pretty mean, not the greatest structure we've ever seen on the leading edge of a storm, but dark, ominous looking clouds, and it's still packing a punch. We're talking 60-mile-an-hour winds coming at us at least, and we could see that actually increase a little more as we go through. So I'm going to get us back to that storm and take a closer look because it's entering Versailles right now. If we go ahead and pull this up full screen, if we would, please, so we can track this here. It's going to be getting into Fayette County here in the next couple of minutes. From Midway to Versailles and even down a little bit further into southern parts of Woodford County, getting some strong winds. And this whole line is actually catching up a bit, even down towards Harrodsburg. So even though there's not a severe thunderstorm warning there, we've got a strong storm moving in that direction, and the whole line is going to continue to cause some problems for us. Once again, Fayette County, northern Jessamine, Woodford County in this until 8 p.m. this evening, and it is moving to the east at roughly, I believe it was 30 miles an hour to the east. So, but it's probably gaining some speed. Let me go ahead and pull up this severe thunderstorm warning on my computer here so I can see if they've updated the speed. No, this one they said was moving 60 miles an hour. So this thing is cruising. That makes sense that it got through Woodford County so fast. So let's put another tracker on this and talk about when it's going to get here. Get into the Bluegrass Airport in the next 7 minutes. Nicholasville getting this one by 7:31. So we are going to be seeing another strong storm roll through, hitting the Fayette Mall area. By the way, we've had power outage and reports in that area that have been completely wiped out for a few hours. So hopefully they're catching us on Facebook or wherever else they can get some mobile alerts from, because this thing's coming right back to areas that have already been hit pretty hard this evening. And I quite honestly want to stay with this one here until it gets in through the metro because of that point. We've got a lot of areas that are already being hit with some stronger storms. But, I mean, it's getting into here in the next 10 minutes. So this is your heads up to get down and get ready. The latest chat on the National Weather Service, too, is that they are keeping an eye on some of that rotation. They haven't issued any warnings yet for further to the south. But this whole line, let me zoom out here so you can see it, too. This whole line is coming together a little bit now. So we're actually going to see these storms probably converge and work together the rest of the way as they move to the east. And we could see another stronger bowing line as we continue through the evening. I want to pull this back to full screen if we could here so I can zoom in and see what the latest is on the velocity. If we don't have anything else, we may take a quick breather, but again, we'll see how this storm continues to progress as it moves into Fayette County this evening. Probably hold on to it until it at least gets through the Lexington metro, but I still don't like how things are looking down there in portions of now northern Lincoln County. That little hook area, which is not showing, is right on the edge of Houstonville right now. This area right here is a possible area of concern. And then there was some rotation being shown back here when we got on velocity. So let me go ahead and pull this up and see what the latest returns look like for our velocity. So where we were talking about that couplet earlier, we definitely have a little bit of that in this little notch here north and west of Liberty at this time, but it's weaker again, doesn't look as impressive. Near Houstonville, not very impressive either. So that's at least a good sign for not a strengthening return there on some of the rotation. But up towards that one that is in Woodford County right now, moving towards Fayette and Jessamine County, there's not a lot of rotation with that storm, which is a good sign, but it is moving quickly, and it's actually moving a lot faster than those cells that are further to the south, which means that it is likely going to try to take some of that energy and continue to stay strong. Probably really loud in Versailles right now. We're going to continue to see that trend as we go through. Lightning's not impressive, so I wouldn't say that it's necessarily strengthening in its activity in terms of the updraft for that storm, but a lot of lightning to the south. And in fact, we're seeing a lot of storms start to fire up here in south central Kentucky too. So that's something we'll need to keep a close eye on as we go through tonight, anticipating the rest of this line of storms to come together here and bring us some issues. I think that we're going to continue to see that storm in Casey County Oh, that's a different county. That's in Edmonson County. That's out further to the west, so not an issue there. Why don't we send it over to Peyton and get an update from him on this? This is active day for us across the Bluegrass.
Very active day, and on that wide picture there that you had just pulled up, you can see the storms that are now warned crossing into West Virginia that we had earlier. And now here's round 2 for Lexington area. Unfortunately, it's a lot of the same areas dealing with severe weather once again. We got some very strong winds, and I want to take a look outside from our camera, our tower cam here in Chevy Chase, just to kind of show you what this looks like as it's approaching. Look at the very dark clouds here. You can even see a little bit of the rain beginning to come down way out in the distance. That's out in Woodford County there. This is looking, there's a flash of lightning as well. And actually notice how it's really bright, shining on the trees and on the buildings here on UK's campus. That's because there's some peaks at the sun, from the sun on the other side of this. And we actually saw some sunshine just before these storms rolled back in. So that's helped heat up the atmosphere once again for these stronger storms. So we'll continue to watch this. Pretty cool tower view. Like to use our cameras when we can to really tell the weather story of what we're seeing out there this evening. All right, severe thunderstorm warning continues for portions of Woodford County, now working its way into Fayette and Jessamine County. It's for this line right here. Also pretty nasty down in Mercer County from Harrodsburg back up to the Mercer-Woodford County line. Maybe even a little bit of hail there right on that line of the severe thunderstorm warning. This is continuing to work into Fayette and Jessamine counties here over the next several minutes. Very heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, chance for some hail as well. Justin's been watching the rotation on these as well, especially this one from northern Casey, now working its way into northern Lincoln County over the past little bit. So we'll continue to watch that. Just to the south and west of Stanford, it looks like probably some hail down in this area once again as well. So I'm going to zoom things out really quick, put our hail tracker on here just so we can get kind of a look and see the history of these storms. I haven't had a chance to look at this yet. So yeah, this storm down here into Casey into Lincoln County definitely has some history of some hail. So that's something to look out for in that area over the next several minutes, along with the gusty winds and the heavy rainfall there over the next several minutes. Lexington Metro, definitely want to be on the lookout as round 2 is moving in towards you. Very heavy rainfall. I know we've already seen down trees and power lines, and unfortunately this is just going to be another strong storm pushing through that could cause more of those issues there as well. I want to zoom in closer to the Metro here though, just to kind of give you a picture. If you're in the Brandon Crossing area, East Brandon Road here, be on the lookout in northern Jessamine County. You're included in this as it pushes through, even down into Nicholasville. This is technically right outside of the warning box, but it's still pretty nasty, and that's going to push off right through downtown Nicholasville area there, right along Nicholasville Road in the next several minutes. It's right on your doorstep. A lot of the strongest winds are right out in front of this very heavy rainfall. So we'll watch that over the next several minutes as well. Same story if we slide down a little further south, northern portions now of Lincoln County. Very heavy rain, likely some hail and some gusty winds there for you as well over the next several minutes. Well, I'm going to try to zoom in if it'll let me. There we go. And so if you're just to the north of Houstonville working along, I'm not exactly sure what this road is. We'll try to go in a little bit. From Chicken Bristol to Moreland, these areas probably again seeing some hail in this core right here, working off to the east. Stanford, you're likely dealing with some heavy rain, but this is working its way up in your direction in the next few minutes as well. So we'll continue to watch for that as the next several minutes go on. Crab Orchard, you're in the bottom corner here, but this is eventually coming out your direction. If you're out ahead of this, places like Lancaster, Berea, even back up towards Richmond, portions of Madison County, want to be on the lookout as this is moving slightly to the north and east now. And same story here in the metro area. We're going to stay on the air as this goes through the metro. Again, it's a holiday weekend. We got a lot of people impacted by this, a lot of people out and about doing things. So we're going to stay on until this passes through the metro area over the next little bit, tracking these storms. Justin has an update on power outages, and unfortunately it looks like it just keeps on growing. Justin?
Yeah, the numbers are not looking good, especially in Fayette County. We went from 26,000 to now 30,000, and this storm is not even all the way into Fayette County yet. Over in Woodford County, they're now up to 5,500 customers without power, 4,500 in Jessamine, and we've got another 5,000 back off in Anderson County here this evening. So Already a bunch of power outages. If you can, try to tune in. Of course, no, if you're not watching, obviously you have no idea what I'm saying. But we will be live on Facebook, too. If your power does go out, you'll be able to catch us on there on your mobile device so long as you have that service available. So we're going to continue to watch this again as the storms come through. No power outages in the counties that are just now kind of getting their first good round of thunderstorms. Northern Casey, Lincoln, Garrett, and Boyle counties in that one. All of these, again, go until about 8 p.m. tonight. And I'm going to get us back over to that radar so we can have an update on that. And like Peyton said, holding on to this thing until it gets all the way through the metro, just because there's already so much power out, just because we've already had a round of damaging storms. And we want to continue to watch as this thing goes through so we can keep you guys up to date with all the latest and greatest. So we're going to continue to work forward for you here on these storms. I want to go back to the radar because I'd really just, again, the velocity reading there in southern Casey County just looks gnarly. And I'm surprised that we haven't had any updates on that. Something isn't located in the correct spot on this reflectivity, it seems. We are, again, shooting from the Louisville radar scene, so this could be displaced a little bit, which is not a great thing for us either. That makes it even more difficult. If you are even along the southern edge of this, Liberty, if you're inside of there, Casey County, Lincoln County from Houstonville to Crab Orchard, it's difficult to see it, and we're going to have a tough time getting any tornado warnings out, even if it does come through with one. So just note that this storm could be packing a lot more than what we're able to see right now due to some radar error in the mix. Because even if we go to regular velocity, we've got two areas of rotation here that we got to keep an eye on outside of Houstonville. So we got the first one there just south of Stanford at this moment, and another one along 127 just north of Liberty. Let me put some drawing on here so you can see. Toward here and away here, that's one spot. Toward here and away here, that's another. So these are moving to the east. This storm a little slower, but we got to watch those closely too, because that's some pretty bad looking rotation on radar, and we'll see how that plays out for us. Right now, the storm, though, up in Fayette County is moving in. It is on its way through the new circle. It's past the Bluegrass Airport. Lots of heavy rainfall probably coming in that zone, and we can see it's coming into the downtown metro right now. Let's take another look outside of Chevy Chase and see. That is rain right there on your screen coming towards us. Look at that frequent lightning popping up there, too. This thing is about to come down towards Chevy Chase right now, expecting to see some pretty heavy rainfall with this again as it moves in, and that's going to keep us pretty busy. I want to pop around and see if we've got any other views here across the network. I don't think we're going to see anything from the Periscam at this time. In fact, it might even be, a little quieter there. You can kind of see the edge of a storm that's moving in, but we're not seeing anything severe in that neck of the woods quite yet. But this is the storm that's going to be moving into Bourbon County here after it gets past Fayette County, and we could see that give us a couple of issues a little further out as that storm comes through. It's not as tightly knit at this point as it moves into the downtown metro, but still having the chance to pack 60-mile-an-hour winds. We're going to want to make sure that we're in our safe places. Remember, lowest room, the most interior room with as many walls between you and the outdoors as possible. Stay away from any windows as well. Get in the safe place and just hang out there. Give us another 30 minutes or so as the storm moves through. Because you can see some of the velocity readings on here now too. When we start getting these reds turning to pink, that means those wind speeds are getting up there. Let me see if I can't grab a reading. Again, this will be in the storm, but 64-mile-an-hour winds inside the storm could translate to 64-mile-an-hour winds here at the surface, and that's what we've got to keep you in your safe places for. It's going to come a couple different readings on here, of course, at least 50-mile-an-hour winds likely as the storm even moves into Nicholasville at this time. Radar's got it pouring in Nicholasville. It's coming down here in Lexington right now. Off to the south, that cell is continuing to look like the strongest one that we have. Moving into Lincoln County, Stanford, you're getting hit with some of the stronger storm right now as we look at it. Taking a look back at radar, you can tell that this thing has got some serious whip to it. Again, oh man, I just don't like this spot right here. Okay, so we've got these two small areas of rotation that you can see. I'll try to pull it up here. In this area, and then in this area too. And if we go back to this radar, look at where the notches are in this storm. And we're seeing some rotation on velocity reading. So there's a chance that we get some rotation that could spin up to very quick, brief, little tornadic activity. Nothing confirmed. No tornado warnings at this time, but I want you in your safe place because of that, because sometimes when we get storms like this that have just these little tiny notches, man, it can come up and down in less than a minute, and we wouldn't even be able to see it on our radar scan. So keep that in mind. Get to your safe place. Peyton's going to have another update for us here on what's coming through the metro.
Yeah, and Justin, you were talking about that rotation. I turned on our rotation detector here, and it's definitely showing some signatures in those areas in Casey County here. And even if we go back and look at the velocity, I was just in the chat, and the Weather Service says they're monitoring it very closely. And I want to emphasize, we're partners with our friends at the National Weather Service. We work together. We're always communicating with them, and they say they are watching this very closely. Even though there's not a warning with it yet, like Justin was saying, I would just go ahead and get in your safe spot, because that looks like some pretty significant rotation right now, right there in northern portions of Casey County. It's about to cross into Lincoln County. We also have another notch right here in Lincoln County. So we'll be watching this very closely over the next little bit, and we'll be communicating with the National Weather Service, watching that. Right now, again, no tornado warning for it, but looks like there's some rotation that is radar indicated here. So we'll continue to watch that over the next several minutes. I'm going to go ahead and zoom things back out, though, and take us back into the Lexington metro area and just kind of show you what we're seeing right now, dealing with very heavy rainfall. They're dealing with it in Lincoln County, too, around Stanford right now. Maybe even some hail up there. Nicholasville, probably hearing the thunder, seeing the lightning, dealing with the heavy rain. Same story if you work your way up 27 on Nicholasville Road there, back towards the Fayette County line there. Justin, we're going to send things back over to you. Do you have an update from the Weather Service?
They're issuing a tornado warning for those cells that are down off in there, popped up just right now for Casey and Lincoln counties until 8 p.m. So we are now in wall-to-wall coverage. If our folks can hear us, the producers and people in the back, make sure that we're up on Facebook, please, because we got another tornado warning. This one I'm a little bit more concerned about because we actually have some decent rotation showing up on radar, and we've got some hooks inside of this thing. So now, yes, there's stuff going through Lexington. It's not the most severe storm we've got. Just note that if you're in places like Versailles, in Woodford County, you're starting to get on the backside of this. Just give it another 10-15 minutes, and then you'll be good to go. As this thing continues to move through Fayette County, we'll probably see a severe thunderstorm warning get extended further. But let's focus solely on what's going on down here, because this does look like it's going to be a bit of a nasty little reading. We've got 3 locations that have been forming inside of this, and we've got a couplet in each of these little locations. So we've got some cause for concern here for us tonight. Crab Orchard, folks, Stanford, folks, Houstonville, folks, I need you down. Liberty on the northern side specifically, I need you down, because this is tornado warning, and we've got some decent rotation couplets here on our radar. So let me pull it up. I'm gonna go to this velocity. You can still see it here too, but storm relative, that's what SR velocity means, is a better indicator of that rotation. So we're going from the Louisville radar scene. We've got rotation going towards it there and away from it here. So we're likely seeing this right in Jumbo and Miracle, some of these smaller areas south of Blue Lick, from Blue Lick Road over to Martin's Trail. And we're going to see this move over towards Spice Road, moving towards Hall's Gap and Maywood, going even over as far as Walnut Flat and Boneyville. Everybody in that area needs to get down right now, because this tornado warning is in place, and this rotation is moving right towards you, as well as some other rotation. I think Peyton is flagging me down. You've got another spot for us to look at?
Yeah, so there's another spot. There's actually 2 areas in this tornado warning that we are watching very carefully with rotation. We have this one that Justin was just talking about, and we have this one right here, right along US 127 right now. It's working its way off to the east. So I want to tell you some of these towns that we're tracking. This is moving at around 25 miles per hour off to the east here. So places like New Salem, it's moving to you around 743, South Fork 747, Kings Mountain 753, Halls Gap 803, Sugar Grove 811, and Dog Walk 818. So again, moving around 25 miles per hour, so not the fastest. So you do have a little bit of time if you're off to the east here to get into your safe spot, which is the good news. We always talk about safe place to go. Interior-most room, your basement if you have one. Interior-most room could be something like a bathroom or a closet under a staircase if you don't have a basement. Basically, get in the middle of your home where there's no windows. Get into that safe spot. And again, we're watching several areas of rotation here. Justin was talking about this one right here that's moving towards the Crab Orchard area over the next little bit. Probably be to you, I would say, next 15 to 20 minutes or so. Same story right here. We have some rotation moving off to the west, and those are the ones I just timed out for you. So 2 areas of rotation right now in this tornado warning. And Justin and I were talking about this. We've been talking about it way before the tornado warning, that we were concerned about some of this rotation here, and now here we go. We have the warning issued and some significant rotation showing up in multiple spots with this cell here from Casey. Now this one is about to cross the Casey-Lincoln County line, and then this one is in portions of Lincoln County. Justin?
Yeah, so we're going to have to keep watching that one, of course, closely as we go on. We're going to have another couple scans pop up. I'm going to take you back towards the Lexington area, though, because that storm is starting to work towards the back edge now. It has re-intensified a little bit, too, as we zoom in along the Fayette-Jessamine line right now. Again, thunderstorm warning till 8 p.m. for those locations, and we're probably going to see this get extended out into parts of Madison and probably hitting parts of Powell County, maybe even some of Montgomery. That's going to be coming up for them to make a decision on here in the next couple of minutes, because that storm, again, is moving faster than the one to the south. This one going about 60 miles an hour, and you can see these dark purples in here are a bit of a cause for concern on the heavy rainfall side. So we still got some very gusty winds moving towards Athens. Athens, you're up next. It's knocking on the door. Get down into your safe place again, because this thing's packing quite the punch. We're going to take a quick look outside so that we can see what's going on here. Again, heavy rainfall likely coming for us. Yeah, it's coming down pretty good out there, but this is mostly rain. Looking at the trees, analyzing for wind. They're not going crazy by any means, so that means that the gustier winds are likely on the front side of this storm as it continues to move to the east tonight. So we're going to have to continue to watch that as it comes through, and we'll see if they extend that out. If Peyton's ready, we'll go back to that severe thunderstorm warning and that tornado warning to the south. I'll touch on it till I see him get back over there, and he can give us some updates too. It looks like he is walking back in. I'll just throw this over to him then, and he'll track this tornado warning with that rotation we're seeing down there.
Yeah, that's right, Justin. And I turned on our we just got an update on radar, so my drawings did not stay, but I did turn on our rotation detector rather, so we can kind of get a little bit more of a feel where the area has a little more shear. And both of the couplets we've been tracking both have some ingredients there for tornadic activity. So we're going to continue to watch that. And I'm also concerned about this one in Casey County that's not even in the tornado warned area. So we have about 3 areas of rotation that we're watching right now fairly closely over the next little bit. And the Weather Service, again, we've been talking with them about this. They're very much aware and watching multiple of these couplets with the rotation. So you can see one right here on the northern part of the tornado warning. We have this one right here in the middle of it crossing the Casey-Lincoln County line right now. So if you live right on the Casey-Lincoln County line, this is moving right across that area. And then this out here, it's a little more broad rotation. It's not as tight of a couplet there, but we're watching that one as well over the next little bit. So 3 areas around this tornado warning that we're watching fairly closely. I want to zoom in on a couple of these and go over some town names really quick, or some street names. Halls Gap, Maywood Road, the Maywood area, Noland Road, Sugar Grove. If you're in these areas, go ahead and get to your safe spot. Even back towards Crab Orchard, go ahead and get in your safe spot. Noland Road, Maywood Road, Halls Gap. Looks like this says Shake Rag Road, Notch Ridge Road. Go ahead and get in your safe spot as this rotation right here where the reds and greens are coming together is working in your direction. So I want to go over to that other area of rotation we're seeing, try to give you an update on some of those roadways and areas that's right in that area. If you're from McCassin Road, it looks like there, South Fork, New Salem, Mount Salem, all need to be in your safe spot. South Fork Lake Road, Kings Mountain, even down towards Robertson Road. If you are in these communities, back here where these reds and greens are meeting, right here is where we're seeing a little bit of rotation with this. Go ahead and get into your safe spot. As we head back into other portions of Casey County here, because again, this is right on the county line, and then this one's up in Lincoln County moving towards Crab Orchard right now. So as we, and this goes until 8 o'clock, so we got about 17, 18 more minutes or so of this. But then we're also seeing some rotation back towards Campbellsville. And this, unfortunately, is working in towards the areas that are already seeing some rotation. And then we're seeing a little bit right here in northern portions of Casey County, just outside of that tornado warning. So we're going to keep an eye on that one, too. I'll zoom things in just a little bit. But just get to your safe spot if you can. That is now moving right into the warning box towards Beach Bottom. Justin Esterly is here with us, meteorologist Justin Esterly. It looks like he has an update, so let's send things back over to the Weather Center. Justin.
Hey, yeah, they just issued a further tornado warning for the stuff that Peyton was just talking about, so I just wanted to get a recap on that. One other note I wanted to make, too, for you is that it seems that these are all lined up. All of this rotation is lined up, and we've got them pretty much going over the same location, so you need to be down because this could possibly be more than one event for you here as we go through this evening. Moving to the east at 25 miles an hour, Garrett and Lincoln counties are now included. Southern portions of Garrett County are inside this tornado warning now until 8:15. We have it in here on radar. You can see that we've got some of these little pieces that are kind of hooking here on radar, and I'm just drawing really small lines on there for you so you can see. That's an indicator, obviously, but then when we go to the velocity reading, the one that they are highlighting the most is the one that is now near Crab Orchard. That is the one that is going to be of most concern. It's going towards the radar here and away here. That rotation has tightened up quite a bit, and moving east at 25 miles an hour, that is going to be giving us some problems. He just showed you the couple other ones, but I'm going to track her on this thing for us for the latest update. If we were to go right here on that, and it's going 25 miles an hour, so just to the end of the warning box here. Pretty much going into Crab Orchard at about 8:03 p.m. I'm going to get a little closer so we can get some road names in here and some of these smaller places. Halls Gap, Maywood, Walnut Flat, Sugar Grove, Preachersville. This is the tightest spot rotation that we've got. From Stanford moving southward along 27, this is where this is crossing. It looks like it's about to cross 27 right now, at least the rotation. Only radar indicated at this point. We do not have any confirmation on anything with this. It is all radar indicated at this time. The latest scan drops it again. So we're in that period where we're going to see some pulsing taking place. It seems as though the rotation weakens and then tightens, weakens and then tightens, and that could lead to quick little drops up and down with some possible tornadic activity. Stanford to Crab Orchard, you got to be down. Houstonville, you got to be down. Even Northern Liberty still inside that warning. Eubank is inside of this too, even further to the south. Even though the storm is not reaching there on radar, we need you down because this could take a turn any direction Mother Nature pleases, and we want you to be ready just in case something bad does come about through this storm. Berea, you're outside of this box, but it is working your direction, and if it continues at this back and forth, tightening and weakening pace, we're going to likely see that warning get extended out even if we have no confirmation, just to be on the safer side of things as it moves through. So again, this whole storm is moving really slowly for us here this evening, and we're going to continue to monitor that as we go through. Let me bring you back to the northern part of this system because looks like they're going to let this severe thunderstorm warning for Fayette and Jessamine counties just expire here this evening. They have put out a special weather statement as it continues to work into portions of Bourbon and Clark counties here. 50-mile-an-hour winds likely. Northern Madison County also 50-mile-an-hour winds likely, but they have pulled the severe tag down. If you're back in Lexington, or if you're on the far eastern side of Lexington, just outside of New Circle, heading towards Clintonville and Winchester, you got to stay down. But if you're in Lexington now, it does look like the worst part of this storm has passed, so it's okay to probably start getting out again. But we have the heavy rainfall still a bother for us as we roll through that. Right now, our most severe thunderstorm warnings, actually just the tornado warnings at this time, are in the area just to our south, moving through portions of Lincoln County as well as Garrett County, and we're talking about concerns about even some stuff near and north and west of Liberty. So 3 different locations. Peyton, what's the latest on some of the rotation?
Yeah, well, we're definitely seeing those couplets and the rotation showing up on the radar, and that's why the Weather Service went ahead and added this second tornado warning here. But again, as Justin was pointing out just a few moments ago, there are multiple areas throughout this storm and this cell here that have areas of rotation. So even though you might be in the clear from one couplet, there could be another one directly behind it that we need to watch very closely over the next little bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the velocity again, just so we can kind of show you The most significant one on right now on the latest scan looks to be right here just to the west of Crab Orchard. There's still this one right along the KC-Lincoln County line that we're watching a little bit, and then back just to the north of Liberty, there's another one right there. So 3 areas of rotation within this tornado warning right now. Again, the most significant one looks to be right here in portions of Lincoln County just to the west of Crab Orchard there, where we're seeing a little more of a tight couplet with that rotation there. Remember, the reds and greens, that's showing us what's coming towards and away from the radar as far as winds go. So that's how we look at the rotation there. I want to turn on the rotation detector and show you just exactly what we're seeing here. And again, that one has the most significant rotation that it's showing here on our rotation detector. It's still showing it as fairly weak. And then there is this one again right on the county line. If we zoom things in, which looks like it has a little bit more, it's trying to show it getting its act together a little more there on our rotation detector. So, and then same story back just to the north of Liberty, a little bit of rotation there. All of this overall is mainly weak, but we're going to continue to watch it because very easily could a tornado spin up from any of these, especially when we see these little notches in the radar sites there. We kind of look for that to kind of help us. That's one of the things we can look at to see exactly what we're seeing. But again, Crab Orchard. Let's see. Let's go ahead and zoom things in really quick here, and maybe we can look at some towns, road names from Nolan Road back towards William Whitley Road, Elm Street, and Crab Orchard. Be on the lookout. Henry Clay Road, Sugar Grove, Pine Grove Road, even back towards Maywood and Maywood Road. You all want to be in your safe spot this evening as this continues. I'm going to go ahead and turn back on our velocity here just so we can get a better look. And yeah, right here is where that rotation is right now, moving off to the east towards Crab Orchard at this time. If we put maybe a track on it here just to give you, I think it's moving at about well, that's not going to work. Let me zoom out really quick. I think it's moving about 25 miles per hour at last check, right? Justin, do you have a date on that one?
The tornado, the tornado warning is
trying to go off
east at 30 miles an hour now.
East at 30, okay. So we're working your way, so areas like Crab Orchard around 804 or so, back towards Broadhead 822, Boone 835, all need to be in your safe spot in the next little bit. We did just get an updated scan here though from the radar site. If I can clear this off, that'll help us out so we can see updated scan still showing that rotation. Again, we're seeing it again right here down in another portion of Lincoln County. So we're tracking both of these areas. The one just to the west of Crab Orchard, the one right down here about to cross, I believe that is, I'm not sure what roadway that is. Looks like, well, it's not going to show up, but in the Kings Mountain area, South Fork Lake Road, back over towards Pleasant Fork School Road, I believe is what that one is. Allen Road, all need to be in your safe spot. Broughton Town as well, all need to get in your safe spot as we're tracking these areas rotating here on radar. And then there's the other one back, just back a little further, back right along US 127 there, just to the north of Liberty. So several areas, and that's why we say just be careful. Because even though one area of rotation may have passed you, doesn't necessarily mean you won't get hit by another one. So we're watching multiple of these back to back. These are definitely the most significant storms we have in the area right now across central Kentucky here. So definitely going to continue to keep an eye on this. We'll go ahead, put things back on radar. I'm going to send it back over to Justin in just a second with an update. Looks like they're not extending that severe thunderstorm warning there of the storms that just went through Lexington. Still probably some gusty winds, heavy rain moving into Clark and portions of Madison County over the next little bit. But again, we're still tracking some more severe warnings back off in western Kentucky. And this line from Campbellsville back towards Bowling Green all has to swing through some of our southern communities as well. So you're not necessarily out of the woods just yet as we're continuing to track some of these storms moving off to the east as well. But obviously right now we're focusing in on these 2 tornado warnings in portions of Casey and Lincoln County at this time. Justin.
Hey, we have the severe thunderstorm warning that was up towards Fayette County, Jessamine, and Woodford, Mercer, and Scott counties has now expired. They've canceled it a little bit early before it was done. This is a picture that was posted. Chris Johnson posted this with credits to a viewer that was in Nicholasville as that storm rolled through. Jacob Davis sent him this picture, but look at the shelf on this thing. This is what was causing some of those super gusty winds that was rolling through Jessamine here just a moment ago. This is not from the tornado warned storm. This was from a severe thunderstorm. If you've got pictures for us, obviously make sure it's safe to do so, please. But otherwise, send them in to us here on Facebook, or you can tweet at us on Twitter as well. You'll find us if you just search our names in the bar. But we'll be able to show some of these on air as we go through. Plus, it helps us with some reports. So when it's safe, of course, if you're in the tornado warning, please just wait it out. But when it's safe to do so, if you've got some pictures, please send them our way because we do enjoy seeing those. Let's get right back to that tornado warning here. If I can get the computer to be nice to me, we're going to get you back to it. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning for Jessamine, Fayette, that's expired. That one's done. It'll come off the screen at 8 o'clock, but there's no longer a severe thunderstorm warning for that. So really, again, all we've got is this tornado warning that is taking place, and we're just going to run through the counties that it's at. Casey County until 8 p.m., Lincoln until 8 p.m., as well as portions of Garrett County until 8:15. Now, portions of Lincoln County are also in this until 8:15. It's overlapping because we've got 3 locations here that have been pretty nasty in terms of seeing some rotation on the radar. We also have a flood advisory that was just issued for Casey and Lincoln counties because these storms are so slow moving and they're very heavy rainmakers. We're going to have the chance to see some flash flooding concerns here down the line, especially as this thing continues to come through. With that said, that could also lead to some problems for us. If any of these do become tornadoes, they could be rain-wrapped, meaning you wouldn't be able to see them anyway. So please, please, please get down into your safe place as these readings and these signatures continue to work through this tornado warning. We've got 2 different types of velocity, okay? This one is just standard velocity. The radar beam shoots into the cloud so we can see if there is some rotation. But it gets a little tricky when the storm may be moving in a certain direction. So storm relative is probably a good one to use to see the rotation inside the thunderstorm and the areas of concern right on Crab Orchard right now here. This is going towards the radar, and I know that line is white, but this is coming away. So what we get is rotation there. So between Stanford and Crab Orchard, right across 78 and 150 there, we're seeing the best rotation in this tornado warned cell, and it is moving right across 150 from Walnut Flat up to Preachersville and north of Crab Orchard. So Cartersville, smaller communities out here, but you guys need to be down too. You're on the edge of this, but this wind here is moving towards you. Latest scan, it just took a dive right down into Crab Orchard with the strongest winds, and the couplet in behind it now has intensified. So we're seeing once again this back and forth game. Mother Nature is playing with these rotations and these little possible tornadic producing cells as they come in. We're going to see this one now be coming up on Crab Orchard. Again, I want to just do one thing here and show you what the wind speeds could be inside that. So if we have 43 miles an hour going one direction and 12 the other, do the math, that's 55 miles an hour of rotation potential there that could become severe. We could have something spin up out of that. And when we have green and red meet together here, right just south of New Road, Johnny Carpenter Road, some of the roads that are here just outside of Ottenheim, south of Highland, and Kings Mountain area, this is where we're seeing the rotation. A Maple Swamp Road is the area that we're seeing it as well. So we're going to continue to deal with that. We've got a new thunderstorm warning that just popped up too. Severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Bath. Oh yeah, that's a big location for this one. So let's zoom out. Okay. Whoa. We got a big warning box there. That's the storm that just went through the Lexington metro. It looks like it has intensified. Peyton, do you want to touch on that one?
Yeah, give me...
He's going to walk back over the wall, so I'll zoom in on it here. It's inside of Clark County right now, hitting Winchester. There's not a warning in that area for this storm, but it is intensifying into a line that we saw similar to earlier, where there's a little bit of a bowing segment to it, meaning straight line winds are going to be a threat in areas that have already been hit. We've already got power outages in those zones. These are going to go till 8:45. Peyton, why don't you go ahead and run down the list for them?
Yeah, so we have several counties included in this, and I want to emphasize we're going to stay on the air until these warnings expire. That's what we're going to do because we want to keep our viewers safe as possible, and as these are very dangerous, especially as we're continuing to track 2 tornado warnings right now. So we'll get back to that in just a second. 3 tornado warnings. Looks like we just got a new one. So actually, I want to focus in on that really quickly first, and then we'll jump back up to this severe thunderstorm warning. So we now have 3 tornado warnings for this line down towards Stanford here. And regardless of rotation or not, it's a nasty storm from Crab Orchard back towards the Stanford area. Likely seeing some hail in this as well. Again, we're going to continue to stay with this throughout the evening as rotation. I mean, look at that. We're continuing. This couplet looks very impressive right now with the reds and greens really meeting up together there, showing us the spin right there. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that and see if we can get some road names, because this one you definitely want to be taking shelter from. Maple Swamp Road, Edge Paget Road, back towards Allen Road here. Same story if we work off to, oh, we got an update. So this is now over, let's see, Plaza Tech Road, Schmitz Road. You want to be in your safe spot. Broughton Town. If you're in any of these communities, you definitely want to be getting to your safe space as this rotation here is now working its way off to the east. We're still seeing that rotation right over Crab Orchard right now as well. So really quick, I want to look at our rotation detector, and those are the 2 areas with the most significant rotation. The one right over Crab Orchard, and then this just to the south here where we again, we now have 3 tornado warnings with this, and they're kind of in a line behind each other. So that's important to note as well, that over the next little bit, we're probably going to continue to see these working off to the east, and even some broad rotation back into portions of Casey County still, as this is all continuing to work off to the east. Now, really quick, before we come back to the tornado warnings, I want to go back up and look at these severe thunderstorm warnings back up in northern portions of the area, from portions of Estill County, Irvin, back towards Stanton, Powell County, Menifee County, Mount Sterling and Montgomery County, Bath County as well, even portions of Rowan County and southern portions here of Fleming County now. This is for this storm that's in Clark County. It looks like it's intensifying a little bit and now working into these eastern Kentucky counties, pretty much following I-64 over the next little bit. And then again, but this is a large warning area. You still have several minutes. Justin, do we know how fast this one is moving?
That's what I'm peeking at right now. It is moving at a pretty good clip. I would imagine it's gaining speed again. Currently moving to the east at 50 miles an hour. 50, okay, so we'll try to put a time on this and kind of show you times as this is pushing through. So Goff's Corner now, Fox by 8:01. Let's see, it's 8:01 right now. So there we go. West Bend 8:02, Klondike 8:02 down towards Verdon at 8:03, Kimbrell 8:04. So you guys need to be getting into a safe area over the next little bit as this line is kind of intensifying here, especially if you're on I-64 right now. It's pretty nasty. Probably seeing some hail. If you're in the Mount Sterling area, you definitely want to be getting indoors over the next little bit. Look at this, just to the north of Winchester, right along the interstate here. We're likely seeing some hail within this right now over the next little bit, right along US 60 here, and even portions of Mountain Parkway over the next little bit. This storm's going to continue to work in your direction from areas like, let's see, Camargo back towards Jeffersonville. All need to be on the lookout as this is working in your direction. All right, updated on that one. I want to slide back down to these tornado warnings really quickly. We're going to stay with these until they are allowed to expire. We'll try to go back to regular programming as soon as we can, but we're going to stay with these until they expire. As always, if you want to catch the soccer game that's on right now, you can get it on the Fox Sports app and put in your cable provider info. But let's take a look right now at what's happening with these tornado warnings. We have Crab Orchard back towards Stanford. Likely some hail as well within this one. I'm going to go ahead and flip on the rotation once again, kind of show you those areas. And really, we've been talking about this. We had the area around Crab Orchard, and then the couplet that looks the most impressive right now is this one right here. And we're going to continue to watch that one very closely. I'm going to zoom things in, take a look at some of these roadways. Allen Road, we've been calling that one out a lot. Simpson Road, Turkeytown, Edwards Road, it looks like. Back towards Gun Sulphur, Tar Kiln Road, you need to be on the lookout. If we slide a little further east from Broadhead, West Main Street there. Doug Hill Road, back up towards Brine Ridge Road.
Copper Creek Road, all of these areas you need to be getting in your safe spot as we have these tornado warnings, even though here in portions of Rockcastle County, I know some of those roads are in Rockcastle County and there's not a tornado warning there right now. This area of rotation is working its way in that direction. And it looks like they just popped up a severe thunderstorm warning for this cell that continues to the east with this as well. So we'll see if they add on to the tornado warning with this, since it looks like we do have some rotation still with that. But if you're in Mount Vernon, portions of Rockcastle County, Brodhead, go ahead and get to your safe spot. And unfortunately, Justin, these several areas of rotation that we're tracking are working their way towards I-75. And it is a very busy holiday weekend. So obviously people traveling might not be able to be aware. So if you know someone that is on roadways right now, you definitely, especially in this area from Berea to Mount Vernon, if you're along I-75 and points just off to the west there, you definitely want to be finding a safe place to stake it out, Justin.
Yeah, and we're going to see this line continue to form. I mean, we've got even off to the southwest of that, back towards Liberty and Russell Springs, more thunderstorms that are still developing. So the whole line is coming together as anticipated, and it's going to continue to move to the east. So this is going to be the main event for us here this evening, because if I even zoom it out a little further, you can see there's some more stuff off back towards Bowling Green, but it's catching up. All of these things off to the west, catching up to this line as it comes together. So one thing I want to show you here that we get with our Barron system when we're watching for tornado warnings and things is we can see stuff like this. The Barron twisting index, the BTI there is at 3.0. Typically, we need that upwards of a 6 or greater for it to be tornadic activity that we've seen become confirmed. But it is tracking out some of the storms for us at a decent rate too, and it is moving at a good pace for us. So we're going to continue to see all of these storms really cruising along here as they continue into parts of Rockcastle and very, very northern parts of Pulaski County until 8:45 p.m. And we're going to continue to see some strong wind gusts with that. So we've got a lot to watch here for you as the storm continues to work in. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of these storms a little further to the south get some warnings soon as well, because we're seeing some intensification from those as they move in here. But again, we don't have anything confirmed as far as tornado warnings go or anything as far as even funnel clouds, just lots of power outages taking place, and of course these nasty lines of storms that are going to be with us here for, I would probably say, the next hour, if not two. So we've got a lot to deal with when it comes to that over the course of the rest of this evening. The whole line itself now moving towards the east. Let's get an updated timing on how quickly that severe thunderstorm warning that the Jackson area made it. So the lower portion of this is moving very slow, 25 miles an hour at best for the whole line. So I'm going to go ahead and time out the entire line for us here as it moves in, and then we're going to take another look at the storms off to the north, finally getting into the warning zone there. So if this whole thing is here, you can see there's some other storms off to the east too, moving through into West Virginia, but this whole line, if this whole line was moving real slow for us, and this is going to be a little messy. I'll put it at 30 miles an hour just for a little extra help. We've got it in Berea in the next 10 minutes, Jeffersonville in the next 20, Mount Vernon, it's coming your way here shortly as well. So the whole thing from even north of Somerset, don't be surprised if you don't get some thunderstorm activity here in the next couple of next hour, half hour to an hour as this whole line of storms works in. I'm going to recap on what's going on here to the north because I want to point something out with the velocity signature. This is so similar to that Boeing segment that we had earlier, where we had some very strong winds on the leading edge. You can see it here in the velocity reading. Moving into right now portions of Montgomery, Powell, and Estill counties here this evening. Again, that's the severe thunderstorm warning till 8:45. Let's just take a look at some of the winds inside this storm. We've got 66, 58, 54. So this leading edge of the storm right here, even from Mount Sterling, this is all coming this way. And this is where our gustiest winds are going to be, and that's where we're going to see some of those threats. So this storm itself, on the update on going to get you some timing updates here from how fast this one, because it's moving at a different speed than the other storm with the severe thunderstorm or with the tornado warnings was moving. So let me get an updated speed on this one because I think it was moving, 50 miles an hour. So this one cruising much faster for us here. And probably could outrun the warning box here in a little bit. We might see this get worn downstream even further. Mount Sterling right now Jeffersonville, you got 8 minutes. Stanton, you got 10. Frenchburg, you've got till 8:30, so about 22 minutes. Further out, this is outside now, 8:48, we're going to see this line make its way into Campton, Sandy Hook, West Liberty by 9 p.m. So plenty of time to get down and get safe from this storm, because it is producing at least 60-mile-an-hour wind potential with it, once again in an area that has already been hit with those stronger storms. I'm going to go back to the tornado warnings here because they're moving, they're almost stagnant, it seems, in their progression to the east. We'll get you back to some velocity readings. This is good note for us. It looks like some of the velocity is getting a little more sporadic, not as tightly knit like we saw a couple of those couplets earlier, and that's leading us into a good scene, at least in terms of not seeing as much rotation and therefore hopefully avoiding any kind of tornadic activity. Peyton is back with another update for us.
Yeah, and we still have a lot of power outages. I'm going to check that out in just a second. I'm still watching these tornado warnings once again. We're going to stay on air until the tornado warnings expire, as we are required and want to do to keep our viewers in this area safe. If you're trying to catch the soccer game this evening, you can download the Fox Sports app, log in with your cable information. You can watch it from there. I understand there's a game on. Unfortunately, we have to, or not unfortunately, but we do need to stay on to track these out for these communities, especially in these tornado warnings. So we're going to continue to do that for our viewers in these areas. Crab Orchard and these areas, portions of Lincoln, back into portions of Garrett County right now, still under those tornado warnings. The rotation is not looking as significant as it was just moments ago, but still very strong storms. That's why they've expanded this severe thunderstorm warning to include portions of Rockcastle County now from Mount Vernon. So headed towards the I-75 corridor. Again, lots of power outages pretty much area wide. We still have this severe thunderstorm warning as well for several eastern Kentucky counties from Estill back up towards Powell, Menifee, Bath, and Montgomery counties, it looks like there, and even portions of Rowan County back towards Moorhead. A lot of these areas were hit earlier this afternoon, and this is round 2 working their way in. I want to zoom back into the tornado warnings here once again and kind of see if we can get an update here on some of the rotation that we were seeing earlier. Again, if you're in from Crab Orchard back towards Broadhead in these areas, you definitely want to be in your safe space over the next little bit. Good news is rotation is not looking as significant at all in these areas. So once this slides out, they may not extend these tornado warnings. We may just stay with the severe thunderstorm warning. We do have some rotation once again back into portions of Lincoln County just right here. It's not a very tight couplet, but we do have a couple areas trying to spin in those areas. So we're going to continue to watch that very closely. But either way, strong winds, heavy rain, the threat for hail in these regions, multiple power outages, a lot going on here over the next little bit. So we'll continue to watch this as it pushes off to the east. And then once again, these strong to severe thunderstorms working into portions of eastern Kentucky right along the I-64 corridor and along the Mountain Parkway as well. Justin.
Yeah, and you were mentioning those power outages before. I've got the map up for us so we can take a look. It's been going back and forth. It seems like once they finally get some power restored, storms come in and knock more out. And we're finally getting some more updates, too, out of central Kentucky. And I wouldn't be surprised if in those areas where we've got the tornado warnings and the severe thunderstorm warnings down for portions of Casey and Lincoln counties that we don't start seeing some county power outages. But Fayette County is hit pretty hard. 30,000 customers without power there. You move a little further to the east, you go to Clark County, just 1,000. 4,500 in Jessamine County. 5,500 if you move back over into Woodford County. And then Anderson County, still 5,000 people or customers without power there. Now, areas that this next Boeing segment's moving into right now have been seeing some power outages themselves, but it's a little lesser, which is good, but we may see that number increase as these severe storms continue to move in. So we're going to, again, stay on the air. If we get these tornado warnings to drop, we'll be able to come back to regularly scheduled programming. But again, when we have tornado warnings in effect, we're not going anywhere, and that's just how it has to be. So we're going to continue to monitor this situation as it comes in. Let's see if I can't get the latest update. Why don't we just run down the line here so we can see what's going on. I'm going to start from the south and work our way up and track this line. Again, wouldn't be surprised if more of Pulaski County doesn't get a severe thunderstorm warning here shortly as this storm continues to work in towards it here. Velocity signatures are looking okay for us here. It's hard because we're now equidistant from both the Jackson radar scene to the Louisville radar scene, And so this is going to give us a good reading as to what things look like. It's hard to shoot it from Jackson. It looks like it's not showing up hardly as much rotation as it was from the Louisville location. So if I put the Louisville velocity back on there, see how we're starting to get some gray stuff in there? Things are getting scattered out. The beam's having a hard time making it to this storm. So that is definitely not going to be making it any easier for us to see what is happening. But Crab Orchard to Broadhead to Mount Vernon, all the way to Livingston. We've said it once, we'll say it again. You got to get to your safe place because this storm is moving in, and it does have the potential to produce some tornadic activity. Again, moving this storm to the southeast at roughly 30 to 35 miles an hour. So I'm going to use the proper tracker here, if I can get it lined up, and we'll get you an idea of when this is moving in. So if we'll put it at 30 to 35. And it gets into these areas. Sand Gap by 8:42, McKee by 8:58. McKee, you're not inside a severe thunderstorm warning right now, but we may see one get extended as this strong storm continues to work across the state. So that is it for those southern counties. I'll go back to the northern counties here and take a look at these. Once more, northern parts of Estill, all of Powell County. We're still in the middle of it right now. Montgomery County, Mount Sterling, you're getting hit with this storm as we speak. Menifee, it's not to you yet, but it won't be much longer till it gets there. It's moving 50 miles an hour. We've also got it for portions of Bath, Rowan, and Fleming counties here until 8:45 p.m. Again, this storm moving to the east at 50 miles an hour, so it is cruising along nicely. The latest update for us here on the speed and the timing of who gets what when. And of course, I had to click it off right as that happened, so I'm going to redraw it for you because I missed the button. My apologies. Mount Sterling, it does look pretty nasty in your neck of the woods, so please be down in your safe place as we go through. Here we go. Clay City, 8:15. Jeffersonville, 8:17. Salt Lake, 8:31. Latest update has it in West Liberty, which is outside of the warning right now, just before 9 p.m. So that's what we're going to watch. And again, I said it, as these tornado warnings stick around until 8:30, we've got to stick with you. Actually, just got a new thunderstorm warning off behind this. Why don't we take a look, because this is going to lead in towards southern portions of our viewing area. This is not quite into our area, but till 9 p.m. from Adair County and Greene County off there towards central Kentucky. More warnings being issued for the line that's back off towards Bowling Green. So we've probably got quite a bit of time here to get through tonight with some more warnings coming our way. As we continue to look at radar, I think Peyton's going to give us an update on that tornado warning over at the wall for us here. We got some more rotation, some updates.
Yeah, that's right, Justin. I mean, again, it's pretty much like we've been talking about. We're seeing, honestly, the most impressive rotation right now I'm seeing is actually outside of the tornado warning, just to the north of Broadhead and portions of Rockcastle County, working towards I-75 right now. You can see some rotation right there. Very broad rotation back into portions of, it looks like, Lincoln County there at this time. But again, the radar's really having a hard time with this because we're at equal distance from Louisville and the Jackson radar site. So it's really having a hard time picking this up. But the most significant right now is actually right here, working towards I-75 right now. So once they allow this tornado warning to expire, we'll try to go back to regular scheduled programming. And again, I know the soccer game is on right now. And again, you can download the Fox Sports app, log in with your cable information, and you can still watch that uninterrupted if these storms are not in your area right now. But for our viewers that are being impacted by this severe weather, we definitely want to stay on and keep you up to date because this is a dangerous situation. So rotation we're seeing right now, again, portions of Rockcastle County. We'll zoom in so we can get a little closer of a view. It's not a really well-defined couplet, but again, it doesn't take much in these scenarios to have quick spin-up tornadoes that last very briefly, can cause some damage. We also have the severe thunderstorm warning just because we got the strong winds and the hail with this as well. This is working towards Roundstone, Conway, Wildy, I believe, and then back towards Climax, Gotchaland, and Janetta over the next little bit, working off to the east. Again, this is about to cross I-75 probably in the next couple of minutes. So if you're on I-75, likely about to be dealing with some very heavy rain, maybe some hail in that area as well. Yeah, this line is right on that. Crab Orchard still dealing with the very heavy rain. these areas where we're seeing a little bit of purple mixing in, maybe some hail in those pockets and areas. As Justin was talking about, just outside of our viewing area, we have another severe thunderstorm warning, and unfortunately that's going to trail over a lot of these areas that have been impacted over the past little bit. If we zoom things on up back to the north, Mount Sterling, back towards Stanton and in northern portions of Estill County there, dealing with very heavy rainfall. If you're along I-64, probably want to pull off if you can, especially in between Moorhead and Mount Sterling. This is working towards the Moorhead area and also working towards the Cave Run Lake area. It's a holiday weekend. Once again, I mentioned that earlier. Obviously, we want to be very careful out there, especially since we do have so many lakes and state parks, campgrounds, areas like that are being impacted. So Cave Run Lake, this is coming your way once again as this storm kind of follows the I-64 corridor here. Mount Sterling back towards Stanton and eventually moving into Irvin, going to be dealing with some very heavy rain and maybe even some hail. I want to zoom things in here into Mount Sterling here. This is the area working into Bath County towards Owingsville there, Olympia, Preston, Olympia Springs, Clear Creek, Furnace, Salt Lick, back towards Lakeview Heights. You are all in the path of this. Owingsville, right along US 60 here. We're likely seeing some hail with this. I'm going to turn on our hail tracker just to see if we can get a look. And this does have a history of producing some hail, so I would not be surprised if we're dealing with some hail with this over the next little bit. Let's see if this one, same thing, it's kind of showing it back here over the past hour or so. So would not be surprised if we're seeing that over the next little bit as well as we continue to track this here. So we'll continue to watch this. Very strong storms working from Bath back towards Rowan County in the next little bit, Menifee County, and then down towards Powell County. This goes until 8:45. The tornado warning continues down here in portions of Lincoln County, where we've been seeing some rotation over the past little bit. We're going to go over to Justin in just a second. He's got some pictures to show us, but I just want to update on this really quickly and see if we have any latest rotation, anything we're seeing. And again, really the most impressive rotation looks to be now in Rockcastle County, and it's very broad at that. So we'll continue to watch this. We'll stay on the air until the tornado warning expires, and then we'll try to get you back to regular programming coming up in just a little bit, as long as more warnings here are not issued. But of course, we want to keep our viewers safe this evening as more severe weather continues to work across the bluegrass tonight. Justin?
And speaking of Broadhead, that area that we were just highlighting there for some potential rotation, pictures sent in to us again or commented on some of our posts from our Facebook pages. This one, somebody commented on Chris Johnson's page. This is a view of the storm. You can kind of see what looks like a broken down little shelf cloud moving in. The edge of the storm really is all that is. It does look pretty ominous over the trees there. Broadhead is outside of the thunderstorm at this time, but so this is likely shooting to the north or west for us this evening, and we're going to continue to see some pretty nasty weather move in. So yes, there is some very ominous clouds in the Broadhead area here for us this evening, and that's what we're continuing to watch. That was right here in this location that picture was taken somewhere outside of Broadhead. So if you've got pictures, please send them in. Yeah, keep posting them on any of Fox 56 Weather Authority personnel's Facebook pages, and we will happily show them here on air as we go through it. Again, we're just waiting another 9 minutes or so. It doesn't look like the latest chat in the box here about that tornado warning doesn't look like we're going to be seeing that severe thunderstorm warning or that tornado warning extend. But we're obviously going to keep an eye on it because there's still potential for some rotation. Peyton, you were flagging me down. You have some information for us?
Yeah, so we actually just got an update from Lexington Police on the severe storms that have moved through the Lexington area. They just released a statement saying severe weather has caused various power outages impacting traffic signals at several intersections, and trees and debris has fallen into roadways. They say the Lexington Police Department is working with road crews and Kentucky Utilities to clear all of these hazards and restore power as soon as they can. So those crews are out there working hard. Obviously, they can only do so when the storms pass. They can do so safely, but Lexington Police trying to remind people, if there's no traffic signal, the traffic light is out, treat it as a four-way stop, obviously, and also flashing yellow lights, proceed through the intersection with caution, and flashing red, treat it like a stop sign and stop there. So officers are out assisting and trying to help direct traffic in a lot of these more heavily traveled areas, but a statement from Lexington Police, they're continuing to try to work with road crews and with Kentucky Utilities to get the power back on for all of those areas. So obviously we've been talking about the power outages and stuff. There's just a lot going on as far as that front goes. So I'm going to ask if the control room can go ahead and switch over to links 2, just so we can show an update on these power outages here, and they continue to rise. We're at 30,000 here in Lexington, 5,500 out in Woodford County, 5,000 out there in Anderson County, 4,000 customers in Jessamine, 1,000 in Madison, 1,000 out there in Clark County, 800 in Montgomery County, 100 in Powell County, and it looks like 200 right now in Menifee County, and then even down towards Beattyville, there in Lee County, 100 customers without power as well. So Franklin County, last one, 100 customers without power. So definitely the hardest hit areas seem to be the Lexington Metro right now, but you can definitely see where the storms have repeatedly trained one after the other. We've had a couple rounds there, one after the other over the last little bit here, with these power outages showing up across central Kentucky. So Justin, looks like we've gotten a good amount of rainfall for a lot of us as well. I'll send it back over to you. And we have that aerial flood advisory right now down in Casey and in Lincoln counties. Justin.
Yeah, that's the other concern. And again, we're running through these things because we're still waiting for an update on that tornado warning, expected to expire in about 6 minutes. And if it does, then we're going to go ahead and send you back as we continue to watch for new updates on these storms. But since we're here, we'll talk about it. We've had some heavy rainfall in some locations, even in Garrett County and southern Jessamine County. But there is aerial flood advisories, meaning that it's not a flash flood warning by any means, but there's probably some pretty good ponding taking place, as well as some heavy rainfall over the course of the past 6 hours. 2.3 inches in some spots. It looks like some pretty heavy stuff has come down. That's a lot of rain in a short amount of time. In fact, even if I switch this to 3 hours, you can see a lot of rainfall here has come from these last couple rounds of storms. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on. That's for Casey and Lincoln counties this evening for the heavy rainfall that has come through to give us some potential for some minor flooding issues as well. Let's go back to the radar here so we can see what's going on. I'll clear all this out. I'll get the warnings back up for us too, so we can see what the latest is. And again, we have a severe thunderstorm watch for everybody that's been like, well, we haven't had any storms yet. Till midnight for all of eastern Kentucky. For us here in portions of Fayette, Woodford, we got it till 9 p.m. So another 30 minutes, and we'll see if they extend that. This is the main event, this line that we have here. So while we might get some thunderstorms to spawn up behind this, this is likely going to be the severe round that we're going to see the most impact from, again, as we roll in through the rest of this evening. And that's what we're going to continue to monitor as we go through it. Again, 5 minutes until that tornado warning would expire, and there's no talk of them extending it. They've got the severe thunderstorm warning for Rockcastle County that covers the end of that tornado warning. So that's the portion that we got to keep a close eye on. And in fact, that's where we actually have rotation. South of Berea is the spot. Let's look at it from the Jackson side. Not a lot of rotation on that view. So again, we've kind of got mixed signals here on the two different radar scenes of what is happening, and that's likely also why we don't have another tornado warning. But this storm relative velocity reading here in northern portions of Rockcastle County, south of Berea, it's shooting from pretty far away. So the beam height, it's shooting in the higher levels of the storm. So this rotation could be quite a bit off the ground. In fact, we might be able to see it. I'm going to try something here to see if this works. We'll go into a 3D view just to see what is happening with this here, and I can actually show you. Look how high up the inside of this storm is going. We're talking about signature readings in this dark purple. That's where we get some very heavy rain. That's where hail is made. That core is over 25,000 feet, and we've got the tops of these storms upwards of 30 to 40,000 feet. So this is no joke in terms of the strength that these storms are holding, because they're tall. The taller they are, the more energy that they can pull in, the stronger the updrafts will be, the more dangerous the storm could be. And we're seeing that all the way across. This is a cross section, so we could see the vertical values of the storm as it comes through. So that's pretty cool. That's a good show for us to see what's happening. And that gives us a good idea that that storm will not likely weaken anytime soon, but is certainly going to continue to maintain its strength as it moves to the east. And again, it's moving really slow. In fact, Peyton, I'm seeing something here now. We're kind of getting a split in this storm. One storm's taking over a little bit more. That's the one that's moving through northern Rockcastle County at this time. It looks like it's trying to become its own cell, splitting away from the rest of the stuff that's inside of that tornado warning at this time. So we may see downstream another tornado warning issued because of the rotation that is taking place here. And what we're going to see out of that is, and I'll click it again, that next run, that last run is really, really good. For us here. The BTI, that's our Barron Tornado Index, is low. It's less than 3. That's good news for us. 6 or higher is typically when we start to see the potential for an actual tornado to be on the ground. Peyton?
Yeah, that's right, Justin. And the rotation is not looking near as impressive as it was, so that is some good news. We're still going to hang on here as long as this tornado warning continues. But again, like you were mentioning, this storm just to the south of Berea, now it just crossed over I-75. It looks pretty impressive, almost like it's trying to become its own little its own cell here. And so that's working its way towards Sand Gap and back towards McKee. So we'll see over the next little bit if maybe they extend this severe thunderstorm warning further into Jackson County. We'll see if they do that. But as of right now, still pretty nasty out in these areas, likely dealing with some hail. I'm going to go ahead and throw on our hail tracker and just see what we can see here. And yeah, as expected, probably a little bit of a hail core within that cell right there. That's going to continue along with the gusty winds as this continues to work off to the east. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning up just a little further to the north from Stanton, Irvin, some heavy rain working towards you, Frenchburg, right along I-64 working towards the Moorhead area. As far as this one goes, the cell right up here, right along the highway, right towards the county line, right between Bath working into Rowan County, is actually looks like the most impressive. This is now just to the east now of Owingsville, working right along I-64. So if you know anybody traveling on the highway from Moorhead, in between Moorhead and Owingsville, definitely be on the lookout from Lakeview Heights back towards Salt Lake. This is right on your doorstep as this continues to push off to the east and work towards Rowan County over the next little bit. So we'll continue to watch that. And then also we'll continue to watch this one now, which it looks like they have kind of clipped off the severe thunderstorm warning here, and now it's really just for this cell just to the south of Berea, working over towards portions of Jackson County back towards McKee. So we'll continue to watch that. Good news is, again, where the tornado warning is right now, not seeing much in the way of rotation. So that is some good news there. I mean, pretty much where these, the radar's really just having a hard time right where this is situated. Honestly, the best rotation is in this severe thunderstorm warning that we're seeing right here. So we'll continue to watch that closely. They may try to extend a warning on that at some point if it holds together. So we'll watch that. Again, this is in portions of Rockcastle County. Again, that one actually looks a little more impressive, and it looks like they just dropped the tornado warning. So before we go back to programming really quick, Dispunta, Climax back towards 3 Links, Gotcha Land, Janetta. Be on the lookout because there is a little bit of broad rotation right here. Justin, do you have anything for us before we send things back to the game?
That's all we've got for the severe thunderstorms. We're going to continue to monitor here this evening. No more tornado warnings active, but we have the severe thunderstorm warnings for 60-mile-an-hour winds and some large hail. For now, we're going to continue to monitor these, and if any new warnings pop up, we'll cut back in briefly. If any more tornado warnings come up, obviously we'll have to go continuous, but until that happens, we'll go ahead and just send you right back. Thanks for watching. Meteorologist Justin Esterly alongside Peyton Hinkle will be tracking these storms for you this evening and have more updates for you as the night goes on.
From Fox 56 News, the Weather Authority, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, well, just like clockwork, we're back again. More severe thunderstorm warnings. I'm going to try to do this really quickly, just update you on the current situation, and then we'll get you back to the game as quickly as we can. They just extended this severe thunderstorm warning. This now goes for portions of Morgan County back towards Wolfe County, northern portions of Lee County, and northern portions of Breathitt County. That is for this cell. Or these cells, this line of storms that we've been tracking that just pushed through Mount Sterling, Stanton, and portions of Irvin. So that's going to continue to push off to the east. Main threat with these are 60-mile-per-hour winds, so some damaging wind gusts and some small hail as well with this. They also just added another warning down in portions of Pulaski, Rockcastle, and Rockcastle County at this time with this cell. This is probably the most impressive of the warnings we have right now. So areas like Brodhead, Mount Vernon, back towards Livingston, and even north and northeastern portions of Pulaski County here, likely dealing with some hail within this and some very strong wind gusts as well as this continues to push off to the east. So we'll continue to watch these. We're watching this warning as well back off to the west. It's outside of the viewing area. Our main ones right now are for these line of storms that's working into eastern Kentucky and then right along the I-75 corridor in portions of Rockcastle and northern Pulaski County. We'll continue to keep you updated throughout the evening with the latest information. If new warnings do arise, we'll continue to cut back in and continue to keep you updated both on air and online at fox56news.com. For now, I'm Peyton Hinkle in the Fox 56 News Weather Center. We'll send things back to regular programming.
From Fox 56 News, the weather authority, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, well, we have some new severe thunderstorm warnings to bring you up to date about. This basically just fills in this whole line of storms at this point. So now the entire line back from Mount Vernon all the way up to the I-64 corridor is now warned at this point. The new warning, though, here is for Jackson, portions of Lee County, and then back in towards Owsley County. This goes until 9:30. And again, it's really just filling in this line here. We're going to take a tour really quickly across the area. We're still dealing with very heavy rain from back towards Moorhead, right along the Mountain Parkway here. If you're back into portions of Morgan County, back towards West Liberty, same story, dealing with some very heavy rainfall. Campton, again, West Liberty, even Salyersville. This is on your doorstep, even though Magoffin County is not in that warning just yet. Notice in these areas like this, we likely could be seeing some hail with this, along with the damaging wind threat as well. If we slide a little further to the south, nice little cell right over Beattyville right now. Maybe some hail inside of that. Same story into portions of Jackson County back towards Sand Gap, and Mount Vernon is just getting pounded right now with very heavy rainfall, likely some hail in this area as well. This is about to cross over the I-75 corridor. So again, this entire line of storms at this point is now under severe thunderstorm warnings for up to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts at times, so damaging winds possible, the possibility of some hail as well. We'll continue to watch these as the evening goes on. Looks like they're going to continue to progress across our eastern Kentucky counties over the next little bit. So a dangerous situation. Just make sure you're indoors in your safe spot over the next little bit as these storms continue to push off to the south and east now and working easterly over the next little bit. Eastern Kentucky, even though these counties are not included, this is working your way over the next hour or so. We'll continue to stay with it and keep you updated with the latest information. For now, in the Fox 56 News Weather Center, I'm Peyton Hinkle. We're going to send things back to regular scheduled programming. And then, of course, we'll cut back in if any new warnings do pop up here on the screen as these storms continue to work their way across the bluegrass.